You're listening to Find the Good News, Episode 41, The Unanswered Question, featuring Meghan Abraham. This episode of Find the Good News is sponsored by Parker Brand Creative Services, a branding agency that thinks sideways, pushes forward, and gets your brand up. Check out our work at parkerbrandup.com. It's Unwind Wednesday again, and you know that means I've got a new episode of Find the Good News. I've got something fresh for you today, and I think you're going to really like it. You know, I could make this show if you didn't like it, subscribe to it, or share it, but I don't know how fun that would be. Your engagement gets Find the Good News in front of more people than I ever could alone, so thank you very much for your efforts. In many ways, we can become what we listen to. By helping others find the good news, you're making sure they've got a healthy option in their news feed. Please remember, this is your show, so if you want to participate without coming into the studio, then you can always call the listener hotline. Leave me a message, a question, an idea, a concern, a topic of discussion, whatever you like. That number is 802-459-1668. Again, that number is 802-459-1668. That's your number to join this Chautauqua. Next week, I've got the man behind the mugs, Rex Alexander, posting. We have a wonderful talk that we're going to share. I know a lot of you know Rex, but I'm hoping maybe you'll learn some things you didn't know already. He's a great guy with some great work, so stay tuned for that. The week after that, I'm posting the first road trip episode featuring Chris Bro, the owner of Monumental Life. Chris gave me an opportunity to visit with him out at Orange Grove Cemetery, and I got to help him work some magic on 2 historic grave markers. You'll be blown away at what Chris has been up to, so stay tuned for that. That's it for this week. It's time to settle in, turn off the comment sections, adjust the squelch, raise the gain, tune the dials so you can shut out the junk, the funk, the fake, the nasty, and press play on a little good news. If there's one recurring theme on this show, it is that people feel a little worn down from taking a business-as-usual approach to life. Many are looking for a fresh approach to the way they work, play, interact, eat, and move. What's even more prevalent is that many people are using their disenchantment with the status quo as an opportunity to start over, to rebuild from the ground up, and then they're sharing their journey with others in the hopes that they can make a change too. I recently had the pleasure to visit with one of those special people when Meghan Abraham, the creator of Fresh Fuel, came to visit me on Find the Good News. Meghan hit the status quo, got fed up with it, then changed her life, and she continues to change it daily by focusing on critical elements. She wanted to eat better. She wanted to be more active. She wanted the changes she made to areas to be practical for the average person trying to make their way in a 24-hour world. If you follow Meghan on social media, then you'll find very quickly that she values honesty and transparency. Is she living her #best life? You bet she is. And as it turns out, her best life is her real life. She shares the good days and bad ones because let's face it, that's what real life is made of. In sharing this way, she is encouraging others to take that first fresh step towards a brand new life. With Fresh Fuel, she wants to help you start cooking and eating fresher food at home. And by taking the planning off of your plate, she believes you'll put healthier food on the table for you and your family. Beyond that, I believe Meghan follows the just do something philosophy. If you want to make a change, try taking a different path, but don't stand still. I gathered that she believes there is a new you on standby, waiting for you to do the next simple thing that's going to put a whole series of fresh new actions into motion, making each day a celebration of life. She's here to help you so you don't have to get kick-started alone. Change can be hard, and Meghan is here to help make it easier. If you're parked and idle and not sure where to start, Meghan Abraham has good news.
Wake up, it's morning. You're dreaming up a story. I can hear the way it's going, 'cause you're laughing in your sleep on the path to your deliverance, and a holy wall of light pouring through your window.
Old news, bad news, fake news,
Sometimes you just want to shut it all down and get no news at all. With Find the Good News, I aim to change that by focusing on good people doing good work. I visit with artists, educators, civic and spiritual leaders, musicians, business owners, students, volunteers, and everyday citizens who are using their creativity, resources, and talents to bring hope and happiness to their corner of the world. In each episode, I dig into the hearts and minds of my extraordinary guests. We have street-level conversations about relatable things going on in their lives. Discover the critical life experiences that shape them, the perspectives that drive them, and the fundamental beliefs that are anchoring them to a path of goodness. There's a lot of news in the world. My name is Oran Parker, and I'm going to find the good.
And I love you just as well.
This is actually not the first time I've met you, but it's really the first time that you and I sat down at a table and talked.
And stared at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first time I met you was through Truth, Facts, and Lies with Carrie, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And so are you still involved with that with Carrie?
I'm on the board.
On the board, okay.
Yeah. I'm not going into the schools because I started my own business and things kind of took off with that. So I was going into some high schools and teaching some lessons on that, but now I'm just on the board and, doing back end stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny because I met you there, and I guess, small world, how it works out. I don't know if you and Ross were married yet.
Yeah, I think we were.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, we were married.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's a small world. I had no clue.
Yeah, so you and Ross knew each other from Big Easy.
Yeah, well, Ross had, let's see, was he living in Baton Rouge and maybe moved back here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
After he graduated or something?
Yeah, he lived in Baton Rouge for about 12 years.
Oh, okay.
And then he came back.
Well, he was doing some work with, which is interesting because I draw a line to it, which was protocarb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was kind of where I first encountered Ross. Mm-hmm. He was kind of spearheading that project, which is interesting because it was healthy meals, and healthy living. He was really passionate about it.
He still is. He's my brain sometimes with all of my stuff. So
when I saw y'all doing that, I was like, oh, well, that's just a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of neat.
That was.
Yeah. I like Ross. Ross has a different kind of positivity.
Y'all are a lot alike.
Really?
Like, I feel like you both are really descriptive, really passionate about stuff. You think so deeply into things. So that's helping me be comfortable right now.
Sometimes that isn't well received in the world, though. Yeah. I mean, really.
Yeah, I think sometimes people like to just brush over things and like surface talk. Yeah. And that's not Ross at all. No. He likes to get deep and likes to know people, and now he likes to talk about sports, but he's he doesn't want to just sit around and gossip. He likes deep, good, just real good conversation. So yeah,
I feel like I probably, if I'm being honest, probably didn't get to know Ross properly because it was always filtered through the funnel of work. Yeah. And that sometimes is a terrible way to get to know people. That's happened to me. Does that ever happen to you where your only interaction with somebody is on a professional sort of avenue, and then when you see them out in public or something, you're like, oh, that person's absolutely fine, they're totally nice, but your interactions professionally just aren't jiving? It's like, man, this is lost sparks.
Yeah. And maybe it's because I feel like so many people these days are unhappy in their profession, or they're, I guess, just unhappy in their profession. So when you're speaking with them and they're, mad about whatever happened that day, like, that's all you get from them. Yeah. So, like in my profession right now, I hear stories of people with depression and stories of people that have had all these health problems. And then whenever I see them, I'm like, wait, they're not a negative person. Like, they're just complaining to me because they feel like they could complain to me. But I'll see them out and they're happy and positive, and I'm like, oh, she's fun. Right. I thought she was this really negative person, but she's really fun. So
yeah, no, I totally get that. I've got just a handful of times where I get to have a personal relationship and a professional relationship with somebody. And there's one person in particular that I've had one with for a long time, and I find that we don't always get to see each other or communicate personally. Mm-hmm. And when we do, it's like it kind of washes away all that the negative stuff that comes with the professional stuff.
Yeah.
And I have to really watch myself, because I'll start to even feel negative, you know, and I'm like, I can't believe they did this, or man, I'm sick of this. I wish I'd do this better, and man, if they just only, the whole list of nyanyas. And that'll go on, and it starts to build up almost like a charge. And then you get a phone call, and you get to have like a 10-minute personal chat that has nothing to do with that. And you're like, oh, it just totally humanizes that person again. And then all that just goes away, and you go, man. And then I feel guilty for allowing myself to get charged. I'm being real honest. I mean, that's like, it's probably not something a lot of people want to admit, that they get charged, but I think we do. It can get painted with one brush.
I think negativity is really contagious. So when you're talking with somebody and they're being really negative, it's really hard to just stop that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to just be like, okay, let's not talk about this anymore.
Right. Right.
Especially if you don't know somebody, or even if it's a good friend. I've more recently been able to do that a little bit better, but it's hard. I mean, if somebody's saying a bunch of negative stuff that you feel the same way.
Yeah. You want to kind of
say
jump
the same
in.
thing, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, it's contagious.
Social media fuels that too. It's a great opportunity to do that, to like just go, oh yeah, I hate this kind of driver too. And then just starting to tell your version of whatever their story was, and you just that's what I see online a lot. I've kind of gotten to where I've tuned all of that out. I don't want to pretend like it doesn't exist, but I'm like, look, I just don't want this in my day. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This I have control over. I can
Correct.
really, create the hallway I want for things to enter, and say, I only want this to enter, I don't want to be in those things. Especially like there's some page I went to trying to find out about a restaurant, and I went in there and went, well, I'll never find out about a good restaurant here, because all this is a place for people to complain. And it was pretty mean, It got meaner and meaner. And I was like, ugh, why would you come in here? This is not, fair and balanced to any regard.
At all. It's like being positive is hard or something. It's like it's hard for the world these days to just be positive.
Yeah.
And to I call it speaking life into people and speak life into things instead of speaking death or not, negative.
No, I like that. I haven't heard that before. Speaking life into people.
Yeah. I try to just speak life into everything, and not in a way where if somebody complains to me, I'm like, okay, no, we don't talk like that.
Right. You don't want to stifle it and go, okay, what you just said is totally invalid.
Exactly.
Because it may not be.
Right.
But you don't have to feed the monster, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Just speak life.
Speak life. I agree with that.
I think my husband made that up. Probably a lot of stuff that I'm going to say is from him. So thanks, Ross.
So speaking of speaking life, let's just jump right into fresh fuel.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all about life, right?
That's all about life. Yeah.
So tell me, what is fresh fuel, and let's just go all over the place.
Okay. I don't really have an elevator speech.
That's okay.
So I'm just going to
tell me how it started. Where did it begin?
Okay.
And what is it? What is fresh fuel?
Fresh fuel is I don't know. It's a lot of things.
Can I tell you what I see? Because I haven't done deep research. I just want to know from you.
Because I don't even know for sure what it is.
Okay.
So what do you
So what
get?
my impression was, and this has just evolved over time, over following you, which I would advise people to do, because that's the best way to get life off of you, right? They can follow you and they can see what you're doing. So what I saw was she's encouraging people to eat organic, but also fresh, like trying to incorporate into their day-to-day diet less processed foods, and then showing people that you can take fresh food that you can buy and acquire locally, right? You don't have to order these things.
Right.
You're making it to where it's doable.
Right.
And realistic for them to do in their day-to-day lives.
Right.
And delicious. So they don't have to, yes, they're making a huge change that's going to affect them over time. This isn't you're not encouraging people to do some quick fix diet. This isn't all about just losing weight. This is about a major life change for you as a person, but then also your family. Now, That's what I get from it. But then I don't know what the business model is. I don't know how I haven't went as far as to go, okay, how do I integrate this into my life yet? So that's kind of what you're here to do.
Yeah.
Change my mind, so to speak, because I honestly kind of, when I follow you, it does change my mind about things. I mean, I've changed just from following you, just some of my shopping habits. Now, granted, that's not the full scope of what you're doing, but that rub off is happening.
I feel like changing your eating habits is, step one of getting healthier, because there's so much more than just your food that you eat. Health is so much more than just your food intake. Health is mental health, physical health, Yeah. But Fresh Fuel it kind of started, I was working, so I had my master's in forensic psychology. So I was working, doing some of that work, and I kind of started getting sick. I also had like really bad habits. I mean, I smoked cigarettes and took some medicine that wasn't totally necessary. And so I had some really bad habits, and then when I got married, or whenever I met Ross, I was kind of just like, okay, I'm ready to start clean. Like, I'm ready to start over. So
wait, can I stop you right there? And then we just jump right in?
Yeah.
I've not heard anybody say what you just said before, and maybe it's common, but you just said, like, so I got married and I saw it as an opportunity to start over.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome. Well, like, I think some people see it as like, oh, it's the next level, but what you just said was like, I'm going to reboot.
Yeah.
I'm using my marriage as an actual reboot.
Yeah, I'm starting over with, a new name. I'm starting over as just half, not really a whole of something. Like, it's not just me now. It's me and him. So we get to start our life together. And so that's kind of when things changed with me. And I thought, I started getting sick, and then I lost my place. So I don't know where I was, but I was getting sick. And he kept telling me that he was like, there's something wrong with you. Like, you're sad. You're not this like happy, fun girl that I met. Like, and he was very nice about it. He was very concerned. He was like, there's something wrong. So he kept pushing me, which pushed me away.
Really?
Yeah, it made me mad because
he was saying, hey, you need to do this.
Yeah, like, I really think that you need to, like, I really think that there's something wrong. Like, I gained almost 50 pounds in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Which I didn't just sit around eating cupcakes all day. I didn't have like the most active lifestyle.
So you're talking about like some stress and chemicals like causing that in your body, yeah?
So that kind of happened, and he kept pushing me in the best way possible, but I didn't see it that way then. So I finally went to the doctor, had a couple of misdiagnoses, opportunities, whatever. And so then I finally got diagnosed with thyroid disease and Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. So then I was like, that's it. I mean, I remember January 1st of, I don't remember if it was 2016 or 2017, but I remember it was January 1st, because I was like, this is the day that everything's going to change. So I started putting on social media what I was doing to change my life, to hold myself accountable. Like, if I'm putting it out there, then I have to do it. If I'm putting out that I'm about to work out, then I have to work out because everybody's seeing this. I did it for that, but I also kind of did it because I was proud of myself for working out. And I wanted other people to be proud of me because that was really hard for me.
So it was a motivator. Yeah.
It was a motivator, but it was kind of like selfish motivator, which has definitely changed over the years. But that's kind of how Fresh Fuel started. I kind of just I started sharing recipes. I started sharing that I was working out, and people were asking me what I was doing. And I was like, I'm just working out and eating healthy. And they're like, but what exactly are you doing? And so I realized there are so many people that are out there struggling, but they don't think that anybody else is struggling. They think that everybody has their life together, and they don't feel like even the excuse of, I don't have enough time. They think that that's silly. It's not necessarily a silly excuse. I mean, that's like a legitimate excuse. You just have to reprioritize. But they had all these excuses, and they don't feel like anybody else has these excuses. So I started just opening up these groups, and now you can sign. There's a lot more to it, but it would take forever. Now you can sign up for meal plans and grocery lists and accountability. There's a little bit of education in there about what being healthy means.
Yeah.
So that's what Fresh Fuel is now. That was a long way to explain it.
Man, that wasn't that long ago. I mean, 2017, 16, that's just yesterday.
Yeah, that wasn't long ago at all.
So that's interesting. I mean, I love stories like this where one of the questions that I ask a lot of people that come on here is, why do something instead of not doing it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could just as easily not do Fresh Fuel. You could not put that energy into that. You could just do this for yourself alone. So why take the extra step to share it? Now, I mean, you just said that sharing it kind of encouraged you because other people were seeing your efforts, right? But then you went ahead and went to that next level to share. So why do that instead of just go, hey, I'm just going to take care of Meghan and Meghan's people?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're just kind of doing like a disservice to people if you're not sharing what's happening in your life. Whether you get paid for it or whether you don't get paid for it, I shared my story about being diagnosed with thyroid disease, and hundreds of people said, oh my gosh, I have these symptoms, what do I do? Oh my gosh, my doctor said I'm fine, but I'm really not. I know I'm not. I'm losing all my hair. And oh my gosh, what doctor did you go to? All these things. And I thought, look at all of these people that have no clue what to do. They have all these people in their life that can help them with different things, but they might be missing this one area, this one problem that they're having or this one struggle, and they don't have that exact person in their life to help them with that struggle. I could be that person that could get them through, whatever they're going through right now. So I don't know. I think just share, because why the heck not?
Yeah.
Somebody else is going through it.
Yeah.
You're never alone in this world. Ever. Ever. No matter what, you could go through the weirdest things. Somebody else has done it. Mm-hmm. And they have the answers, maybe, or they have what to do, what not to do, but nobody's going to know if you don't share your story.
Yeah, I think that might even be what kind of disenchanted me a little bit with my own industry, because we're in advertising, and for a long time, I would say even back in the 80s, it was competitive, but it was like friendly competitive around in this area. And I only know that because I can look back and see the people who were in it. And while they were competitors, they still enjoyed each other's company. They had mixers and gatherings and events and awards and contests, and it was all in good fun. But then you can kind of begin to see a shift. Really, the pace of the world. As the world got faster, there was less time for that camaraderie, less time to be open and sharing, and it became just all about being competitive. Who's going to get what client, and then all the fun just got sucked out of it, and everybody just stopped talking to each other. And I guess I can compare that to the world today too. I mean, we really all do that. You and I were talking yesterday, and there's that ping in the back of your mind. We were having just a normal conversation, but then you took a risk to go, hey, look, I'm just going to be honest about why I need to postpone coming in here. And then by you taking a risk, it lets me know, well, okay, I can tell her this actually is relative to something that happened to me. Right. And I can now tell you that and feel safe to do it. So it's like taking that little risk to go out there. And that's a frightening thing for a lot of people, I think, because you're scared to, as soon as you open up your wings, to wrap them around somebody, that they're just going to take a little dagger and just go jab, 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 in that soft spot. Yeah,
you helped me yesterday, by the way, so thank you for that, because it's crazy. Just like I said, negativity is contagious. Honesty is contagious too. So yesterday, because I was honest, you were honest, you helped me through something that was really tough in that moment, and we're here and we're alive.
What an odd little thing, huh?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and what's crazy is probably so much more common. Things, just any kind of pain. Like you said, you don't put it out there. Well, you and I were talking about that off pod earlier, I was telling you about Theo and how his honesty really inspired me to be more open and honest. And then going on retreats where openness and honesty being revealed, that was the biggest blessing, and you say, okay, this is something that you almost have to come to these particular retreats to get. But what about the people out in the world who are they may never come to this, they may never sign up for something like this, but how can you put yourself out there so they can just encounter it, right? And then to me, that is healing. Just, I don't know, creating a safe space for people to just let their wounds kind of open up a little bit and go, oh yeah, I have that problem too. I thought nobody else, was thinking this, or this fear or anxiety or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and I think I posted about, I announced kind of that I had bouts of depression. I don't remember when it was, a couple of months ago. And it was the most engagement I've ever gotten on a post before. And so much of the responses were, you're so brave and for sharing this. And I can't believe you shared this. Wow. And I just thought, why wouldn't I share this? Because I feel like I know that there are so many people out there that are just sitting at home waiting to find something on social media that they relate to, because they don't relate to these pictures in Disney World, or to this perfect marriage, or to these, beautiful kids that are healthy. I know so many people that are sitting there scrolling through all of this and being so sad that they feel like they're alone. And my biggest message is, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that I sometimes get sad is okay. So it's not a scary thing. I feel like people think it's just this big, oh my gosh, I can't believe you have depression, but it's okay. Yeah. Everything's okay.
And I'm happy, I know it.
If you're like me, then you've got a long wish list of things you need to do around your house, things you just can't get to. It's not that I don't want to do them, but between my responsibilities at work, producing this show, and squeezing in some valuable mental downtime, I can't seem to get around to fixing the small stuff, and the big stuff is just waiting in line. To be honest, it kind of stresses me out. Maybe you're stressing out too. Well, stress no more, because I've got good news. My friend Ben Von Duke has started a handyman service, and he takes the mystery out of getting these things done. Ben Von Duke is not just some guy that calls himself handy. He knows what he's doing, and he knows a whole lot. Not only is he an experienced and professional carpenter, but he's kind of a Duke of all trades. What I love is that he's created an a la carte price list of services, so you don't have to worry about getting in your pockets too deep before you're ready. He'll fix your running toilet, install appliances, replace fixtures, install ceiling fans, repair sheetrock and concrete, and a whole lot more than that. Look, I'm not too proud to say this, but sometimes it takes me 3 times as long to fix something because I've got to get online and search videos just to figure out what tools I need. Then I have to go buy the tools that I don't have, and then sort of come home and do the job. I don't have to do that anymore because Ben Von Duke will do it and do it better. On top of all that, he's just a good person, someone you can trust. He's honest, he's kind, and those are things that I value highly, and I bet you do too. You can get a hold of Ben Von Duke, the Duke of all trades, the good old-fashioned way, by using the phone. Call or text Ben at 337-540-1355. That's 337-540-1355. He'll send you his service and price list, and trust me, his prices are more than fair. And do me a favor, when you do message Ben at 337-540-1355, tell him you heard about the Duke of all trades on Find the Good News. I mean, I'm actually surprised when somebody says they don't have any depression or ever feel depressed. I've had severe depression a couple of times in my life. I'd say 3. I can think of them in always around some kind of event. Oddly enough, the third time was in relation to what you and I talked about, because I was put on pain medication. And, you get it and they tell you to take it. And so you do, lay on the couch, take, one, if the pain kicks in, take another. Well, I didn't know any better. And so I slipped into depression over a period of like 4 or 5 days. And boy, once it took, And of course, I'm steadily feeding it because here I am, I'm sedentary. I'm sort of tied to a couch. I'm taking these pain meds and don't even know what's happening. And then just day by day, week by week, I slipped into this state I could not pull myself out of.
How long?
It went by fast. I mean, I think it was fast, probably 6 to 8 weeks. But I got to a point where, for me, what really saved me, honestly, was the medicine was making me hallucinate. And the hallucinations were so real. I mean, my wife and I had taken a trip, and couldn't sleep. I mean, it was like I had bees in my brain. And I was like, this is just not who I am. I mean, I could tell I was not right in my thinking. But I went down to the hotel room lobby like at 2 or 3 in the morning and sat on this couch. And I sat down there. I made coffee. I was reading a book. I sat and talked to this man. And we chatted about the book. And we laughed. And at some point, I blinked. And I didn't have a book. And the guy wasn't there. And I went, okay, I'm hallucinating. I'm living in this sort of dream world where sometimes I'm slipping into, I'm talking to somebody and they're not there, and then I'm back to normal. And so it freaked me out. And so I said, I got to stop. I think it's the medication, because this doesn't make any sense. So I stopped taking that, and then I went to counseling, just straight up. I mean, I called a counselor the next day. I said, I'm telling you what's going on. Severe depression, but I'm also having these other symptoms. I'm taking this medication. I'm stopping the medication today. And I want to start going to counseling. So I went to counseling 6 to 8 weeks. Wasn't long, but I went every week, and then I cut back to, 2 weeks a month, till I got back to what seemed like just plain good old normal life. But then I had a second surgery, and I told them, I said, this, what you gave me, I'm not taking this.
Yeah.
So it's something else, anything. And I told them what happened. They were like, okay. And I didn't even take it. I just went ahead and dealt with the pain. I was like, I'm not taking, and I've been scared ever since then, to be quite honest with you. I'm real funny about pain medicine.
Well, I bet.
Yeah, because it really drove me into a bad state. I don't want to get into too far, but the thoughts were really, I mean, if you've been severely depressed, I mean, then you would know. It's like, just, you get to these places where it's very dark and very lonely. All the people that love you, you just shut them out. The more they reach in, the more you want to push them away.
Yeah, I do. I have these days, and I don't even, maybe 3 weeks at the most, where I'm just surviving. That's kind of where my depression and sadness goes. I don't get real deep, like deep depression. But a lot of it is just like, nothing makes me happy. Nothing helps. Now, recently I've been able to just quickly get out of it. Like, I do something that will instantly gratify me. Like, I do not like working out at all, but if I don't feel good, if I'm sad, if I don't feel good about myself, my body or whatever, I'll go run up and down the street, and I'll say, Ross, I'll be back in 5 minutes. And immediately I feel a little bit better. I'll text somebody that I haven't talked to in forever and just say, hey, I see what you're doing. You're doing a good job, because that makes them feel better, which in turn, I'm glad I made somebody feel better. Little things like that can kind of just quickly get me out of it now. But yeah, it can be scary. It can be really scary. Yeah.
It's funny what moving will do. I mean, just that, because when I was in counseling, that was one of her suggestions. She said, well, do you exercise? And I said, no, not really. I mean, my job's pretty sedentary. I'm at a desk or I'm out filming. So it's like one of the two, or at a meeting. And then get home, and then it's home stuff. So it's not a lot of that. And so she said, you should start walking, just walking. And she kind of just went into what that alone will do, and just make sure you go while the sun's still out, and just go for walks. And so I started doing that after work. And that was really, it was just a complete drug-free regimen. I mean, it was just activities. And when I went back and looked, it's like, what she's asking me to do are very basic things. Go outside and be out in the sun more. And it was stuff that I knew when I was younger, but I had just really, I could see where I had sort of tied all that off just to survive. I got in survival mode for too long, I think. And then you add survival mode paired with medication, and it was just a recipe for a hole, you know? And so, yeah, walking. I mean, just walking. And I still will tell anybody, I mean, I can't say it's a cure-all, but I think just going for a walk and even if it's just a nice park or a place where you can hear the sounds of nature and get away from the sounds of man, you know?
Oh, yeah. And that sunshine is medicine. It is so good for you.
Yeah.
I went outside the other day and I was standing in my garage and I was like, I want to work out right now. And anybody anybody that knows me through social media knows that I hate working out. And I just thought, well, I'm in the mood to work out. Thanks, son. I mean, it really is. Like, if you are battling depression or sadness or just if you're in a slump right now,
yeah,
like sunshine is key.
Yeah.
So get outside.
I
open
agree.
your windows. Right when you get up in the morning, open your windows.
I love the sounds of nature. I mean, honestly, I tell you, my favorite place in the whole world sometimes is just the front porch. You know, watching bird feeders and just looking at the plants and going that we've planted and go, ooh, what's blooming, what's growing, has this one, you know, moved at all? I mean, that fascinates me, and that really does relax my mind. That gives me, no matter how bad things are, that stuff is sort of solid, I guess, to some degree.
You sound just like my husband.
Really?
That's exactly his answer for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like a pill, you know. I saw a picture the other day, and it was two lines, and you know how they have like signs above these two windows, and so all these people were in line to get they had all these ailments, but it was a line to get their medication. And then the other one had nobody in line, and it was eat better, get plenty of sleep.
Yeah, I saw
You've
that.
seen something like that? Yeah. And I was like, God, it really is so true. Now I'm still working on the get plenty of sleep part, though. I have a trouble with that.
Oh my gosh, it's so important.
I just I have this weird, I have tried to break this, and it's so rare, but I cannot sleep past 4 o'clock in the morning.
What time do you go to bed?
Different times. I mean, try to go to bed by at least 10:30. So, I mean, that's, you know, 5 hours,
Yeah.
5.5. It's
I
not,
was counting on my fingers.
yeah, it's not horrible. I mean, and you know, and every once in a while, it's sad, but it's usually when I get sick, and I'm like, I need to stay again. And this past week, I was sick, and I don't know what I had, just some kind of weird little flu type thing that just buzzed through and left. But boy, I was bad off Saturday, and I was like, I got to rest, and I just did. I stayed a couple extra hours, and I mean, it helped. But yeah, I wish I could get more sleep. That was something I wish I could, but there's just so much. The mornings are so busy around my life, it seems like.
Do you get up and start working at 4?
No. I get up and let's see, I'll tell you my morning routine.
Please
I want to
do.
hear yours too.
Oh, yeah.
So my morning routine is I get up at 4. First thing I got to do when I wake up is drink some ice cold water.
Wait, do you set your alarm for 4, or your body wakes you up at 4?
Well, my alarm goes off at 4:30. But I'll sometimes, like today, I got up at 3:55. It's like on the dot,
Yeah.
Or close. It's that thing where your body's tuned to it. But yeah, I get up and I usually keep like one of those thermal bottles with some ice water because I just got to drink something cold. That wakes me up. So I wake up on Thursday. I usually drink water. Then I go put coffee on, and then I sit and read a little bit. Usually, depending on what is in front of me or what I want to read, is Bible, sutras, whatever. And then I'll read a little bit, and then I usually go take a bath in the morning. So I read in the tub. read for about 30 minutes, and
That's
then
good.
that's my reading time. I like it's quiet. Everybody's still asleep. But then about 5:30. That's when the regiment starts. It's, breakfast and getting the kids all ready for school and getting yourself ready for work. But then I have started going to the gym before I come to work in the mornings. I haven't done that for a long time. I actually when my father passed away, I stopped going to the gym. And that was like 3 years. And I was just like, I didn't go for 3 years. And so just recently it was from looking at your posts and just some of the things you would write and other things, guests have been on the show. I was like, I need to start making that change because I can't keep coming in here really kind of getting stressed during the day, dealing with deadlines and sitting and then hurrying up and going out and filming and then coming back and then staying late and doing paperwork, all that. That's just stress, chemicals, hormones, all that. It's just dumping that in my body, and it's going to kill me. ultimately.
Yep.
You know, so eating right was not the whole equation. It was only part, like you said, you know, but I'm slowly trying to retune the dial on that.
One step at a time.
One step at a time, because I can't, you know, that's it. And so I go to the gym in the morning before work. I was like, hey, look, what's 30, 45 minutes, you know, just to get my heart rate up.
Oh, that's a long time.
Well, at my age, though, and as much as I sit, I mean, I've got to so I just go in and do cardio, light weights, and then I come here. And I do feel better. I'm not going to lie. I do feel better.
Good.
So day by day. And that look, really, some of that is just from, I know I'm not a Fresh Fuel customer.
It's okay.
But you are affecting people. I know you already know that.
Yeah.
So what's your morning routine? That was all about me. People don't care about me. They hear me on every episode.
No, I like it. I'm like trying to piece together how you can make it work to where you don't have to wake up so early. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what can he do?
Yeah. I think I'm just going to maybe have to, and I've thought about this, I need to find a way to make it to where it's like, I think there's going to have to be some days where I get up early, like that. Some days, if I want to spend some time, reading's important to me. It really is. But I can't find any time to do it at night. It doesn't seem like, unless I stay up late. And then I just need some quiet. I need a little bit of quiet in my day. And lunch doesn't work for me as quiet time. It just never does, because it feels, the psychology of it is, now it's quiet time.
Yep.
So it's lunch. I got to go in there and fit it in. I don't like that. It never works for me to go, this is the time for that. I got to shove it in, hurry up and get quiet. You know?
Yep.
Mornings are a little more soft landing than that, because nobody wants that. I've always said, nobody wants that hour from 4 to 5 because it's early. And that's an hour that I can just have.
That's the best time of the day.
Yeah, nobody else wants it. It's sort of like, and that's funny because you're Catholic, right? Or
yeah, confirmed Catholic.
Confirmed. Okay. So I would always do that when I would do adoration and get on an adoration schedule. I would take the hours nobody wanted, you know, like, and I don't do it anymore, but for a long time I did. I was like, oh, it's hard to find anybody from 2 to 3 in the morning. I was like, I'll do it. And because I knew I was in that time cycle anyway, but I was like, nobody wants that.
And it's nice to just be alone.
I was 100% alone.
Yeah. I mean, my mornings I don't wake up at 4. I wake up mostly between 4:30 and 5:30.
Okay.
Lately I've been sleeping later. I don't know why. My body's just very tired, but yeah, I wake up at, I would say, we're just going to say 5. Wake up at 5, and my husband and son are still sleeping, for a couple hours. So I wake up, I drink a bottle of water while I'm making the coffee, just to hydrate myself before I dehydrate myself with coffee.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Because you're already dehydrated because you're sleeping for the last, however many hours without water. So drink coffee. I do a little devotion on my phone. And it's very hard not to go straight to Instagram. But I go, I try to do my devotion app. I do that with an app called She Works His Way. And it's a community of women that own businesses, but they want to run their business for God.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
She Works His Way?
She Works His Way.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
It's amazing. So I do that, and then I get to work. So many people that own businesses, and a lot of, they call them boss babes, who
I haven't heard that.
You've never heard that?
No.
Oh my gosh, just go search the hashtag boss babe.
Boss babes, okay.
So it's a name that people use for girls that own businesses.
Really?
So a lot of those girls know, and I know so many girls that are running businesses now in Lake Charles, which is so cool, but they are told that you're supposed to batch work, and you're supposed to write your post ahead of time so that you can, save some time in the morning or whenever you have to post every day, and you just schedule your post. I just can't do that. I have tried to sit there and write, like, I'll spend an entire day. I'll say, okay, Ross, I'm going to go to Starbucks for the next 5 hours, and I'm just going to write content. I cannot do that. Because if I'm not in the right headspace and I'm just trying to say what I think people are going to want to hear, those posts never do well. I did that for a little bit, but now it's Like the other day, yesterday I posted something about what we had talked about that morning. Because it was like, this is happening to me. Surely somebody else knows this.
Right.
It's right then and there. So in the morning, about an hour and a half or 2 hours is me figuring out the picture and the words for that. So I spend my time doing a devotion and then figuring out my post for the day.
See, this is interesting because that's a big part of what I do is people hire us to, and boy, this is just, you're going to love this. And I mean, people know that people do it, but they hire us to manage their social media.
Right.
And if anybody's listening to this, they won't hire me because of what I'm about to say. But there are people that you cannot convince to manage their own social media.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because it's called social media, and there is absolutely nothing social about someone like me posting for other businesses.
Exactly.
Writing their content and writing their fake authentic messages. And God, I'm gonna get fired for saying that, but it's the truth. And because I've told my clients the same thing, and I used to do that, and I still do for some people, that batch posting stuff. But the unfortunate reality of that is that is always going to be substandard content.
Yep.
It's not that it's not information, and it's not that it's not keeping your presence out there, but all it is saying social media is just like any other media. That's all it is. It's saying, well, I need to be on the radio, so I better put a radio commercial out there. Well, I need to be on social media, so I better put something out there. And it can be relevant, it can be current, and it can be branded, but ultimately it's going to fall short until there is a voice, a real heartbeat behind that social media. Then it becomes social. And that's kind of what, even this show, it was nice because for years I got off of social media doing even our Parker brand stuff. I just got to where I was like, all I'm doing is saying, hey, here's a logo we did, or hey, here's a brochure we did, but we're not building relationships through here. With this show, it's totally different, and I'm enjoying it again because it's like, oh, a human being listened and they made a comment and they want to know what I meant, or they would like what a guest said. I love that because then it's like actual connections.
You're speaking life.
Yeah, real speaking life versus just, oh, here's some more ad stuff.
Here's a fact.
Yeah.
That 5 people are going to care about.
Right.
Yeah, I battle that so much. I battle, when you own a business, you obviously want it to be successful and you want people to see your stuff and like your stuff. So I battle, okay, do I post this because I know somebody's going to need to hear it and I'll get engagement from it? I'll get tons of engagement if I post about how my husband and I had a fight the other day, because people think that that's crazy that a married couple fights for some reason. So I could get so much engagement with that, or I could talk about how, I prayed and God answered my prayer, and maybe not get as much engagement, but like, that's the deep stuff.
Yeah.
Versus like, I battle that because do I do it to get likes? Do I do it to get engagement? Do I do it to get new followers, new customers? Or do I do it because it's cathartic for me? It could help somebody else. It's a battle all the time. But yeah, I feel like batch work, which means you just sit for hours and do the same thing, like create different Facebook posts. I feel like that's not authentic for me. And it could be for some people. I cannot switch from subject to subject, from post to post. So so I spend a lot of time, which is hard. I spend a lot of time writing a social media post every morning, when I could be sitting there with my kid and playing with him. But
right.
I don't know. I feel like that's more authentic, and that's really,
I think what you're describing there, and I think I've had that same sort of feeling, and we may be both wrong. I don't know. And I don't even know if there is a wrong, because I've sort of taken this approach to social media now, and boy, it's crazy how that we have to even have conversations about how to approach it. But if I go to Books A Million and I go, I'm going to buy a notebook, what am I going to do with that notebook? Somebody else might buy that notebook and they may draw pictures in it. Somebody else might cut out pieces of magazines and make collages, and somebody else might write their deepest thoughts, or some people might write love letters to an old flame that they're never going to see again. But before anybody does any of that, it's just a notebook. And so I guess that's kind of the way I've lately taken my approach to social media. I'll go through a phase where I'm like, I've gotten to where I like haiku poetry. I used to never read it, and I've become quite fond of it. And I was like, it might be kind of fun to take pictures of things that caught my eye and then just sit for a moment and write a haiku about that thing and just see what comes out of that. So that's what I'm going to do with social media today. And then if likes come, they come.
Yep.
If they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
So it's more like a notebook now. And that's different for me, because I used to, being in advertising, it was, chasing page likes and interactions. And people still, I still have to do that. It's what we do, and we can do it, but I won't say it's fulfilling.
Yeah. No.
It's very inhuman.
What's more, and I think a lot of people like the likes because it shows other people that they're liked.
Yeah.
So when
validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and not even so if I get 3 likes on something, somebody coming to me and telling me they like my stuff more than them actually clicking that button on social media, that's a different sort of excitement. Because this way, if I get 3 likes on something, I would be sad.
Yeah.
Like, I think that post was way better than that, and that would show other people that only 3 people liked that post. But if somebody comes to me and says, I love your stuff, that means so much more. Like, I don't care about those 3 likes anymore if you come to me and say something. So it's like, I think it's for you, all the likes make you feel good, but I think it's also so that other people can see that you're liked. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It makes sense. Yeah. No, you're right.
That was probably really confusing.
No,
but
I think I
have
get
good
what you're
intentions.
saying. If you go to, let's say you get a post that somebody shares, and then that post that you go, oh, that's interesting, I like that content. Well, then you click that page, and then you get over there, and you're like, oh, they got like only 50 people follow this. Is this like a fluke that this was good content?
How sad is that that's how we think?
I know.
Isn't that
it
so
is super sad, but that is how it works. That's what we've been geared to believe, right?
Yeah.
I even think that with this show. Mm-hmm. When you first start a show like this, and I'm sure it's like a website or a web page or a Facebook page, anything, the show was like that. I go, okay, I know from doing this for 20 something years that we're starting cold. You have no listeners and no followers. Mm-hmm. So you have nothing. You've got to create some shows, wrap them in some kind of container, be authentic, because that's what I want this to be, and then put it out there with no followers and no listeners. Mm-hmm. And go, listen to this, please. And then I had to let it go and go, somebody might listen and nobody might listen. And so that's what we did.
But if you're doing it with pure intentions,
yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, it's probably like you, and I'm sure you feel this way. Do you ever get a message from somebody, and it's like they go, man, this thing you shared, I needed to hear it today.
Oh yeah.
And then you go, if this was the only time this has ever happened, that was it. Mm-hmm. It's worth it. Doesn't matter what else happens from here on out. This person heard something that gave them hope, peace, pulled them off the edge, whatever it is, changed their life, tuned the dial. I'll take it. Because, what are we here for anyway?
Yeah. Share your story.
Yeah.
Other people need to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
It's Just share your dang story, everybody.
Yeah.
Really. Everybody, just share your story.
One thing I see you doing, and I don't know if this is if it's a goal or if it's your intention or if it's where you started, but is body image. Mm-hmm. Is that an intention of yours? Because it seems like that's something that you're kind of combating. It's like there's been a sentiment in the world for a long time that we had to look a certain way and dress a certain way and take our pictures a certain way and present ourselves a certain way. And you seem to kind of combat that a little bit with some of your posts, or at least that's what my takeaway sometimes is, like the one you did today.
Yeah.
I'm going, look, you're showing yourself side by side, and you're going to look at the difference in 6 days. And I'm going, how many people you said you would never see people do that.
Yeah.
They only want to show you the perfect finished result, not look, I started here and I got here.
I think everybody battles with some sort of body image. I've never met anybody that's like, I love the way I look, I wouldn't change anything. Whether it's their weight or their... Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't want to meet those people.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, confidence, they can show that they're confident, but they might not really be confident. I feel like so many people battle body image issues, and I mean, I just want people to know that it's okay. Just do something about it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be, get your summer bod, #summer bod. Like, don't stress about that. Just do something that'll make you feel better, and all of this motivation comes after you begin to do things that make you feel better. And sharing that with people and hearing that people needed that made me feel better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's sharing all of this stuff is healing for me. But I think it's healing, some other people too. So, but yeah, nobody shares their fat pictures. I mean, why would you?
Yeah.
But I do.
Well, I mean, I think it's good that you do what you're doing. I don't know. It just, for me, it touches me because I'm one of those people, believe it or not. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm one of those people that, if you've listened to enough of these, I don't know how many of these you've listened to, but I'm pretty open about it. I have a problem looking at pictures of myself.
Yeah.
Have for years. I mean, and it's really unfortunate because, and it's sad that I can look at it. I talk about it like an outsider watching it. I do that all the time because I go, okay, I'm in groups of people who are having a good time and they're all taking pictures of each other and there's zero hesitation. And I'm like running from the lens like it's a laser, like it's going to cut me in half. And, but I'm working on that, but it's a slow thing, and I don't know that I'm ever going to fully win that. I'm going to ever make that full flip. And I don't know where that comes from. Don't know when it started, but it's a strange thing. And I go, there's a lot of people in the world that are like that. They look in the mirror and they don't see themselves properly.
Right.
And it's strange. But I have something in my brain that does that. Like when I honestly believe this, and I don't know how to explain it, but I've read about it online and other people who've had experience. I've never talked to anybody that's explained it that way to me, but it's like a distortion. Mm-hmm. And when I see a picture, I go, wow, that is a major difference. I can't see, and I just can't see myself properly. It's weird. It's a very strange thing.
I don't think it's as uncommon as you're saying.
Maybe not. And it doesn't, when I go online and I've just online research, who knows what that is, but the things I've discovered is that it's out there.
Yeah.
But I just don't, just got to work through it.
Yeah. I'll see pictures of myself, from 2 years ago and be like, oh my gosh, I was so fat. And everybody's like, no, you weren't. You weren't. And I'm not one of those people that says I'm fat, but I'm not really fat.
Right. You're not you're not like baiting for like, oh, you're.
Oh my gosh.
When
no.
we were in junior high, it was when a girl used to say their hair was fried.
Okay.
My hair is so fried today. And we're like, yeah, right. Your hair's not fried. No, it looks great. That was what we used to say.
Fishing for comment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
My hair's so fried.
Your hair's so fried. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Do you remember that? We used to stand in the lunch line. She's saying her hair's fried, her hair's not fried. She just wants you to tell her hair's not fried.
Oh man. Looking for reassurance.
Yeah, and I think, we were just talking about this at our home, but sometimes people do that with love. They put people through things so they'll show them they love them, and it's like a false love that you get. It's like, no, don't worry about me. I'm not. No, don't do anything for me. And it's like, no, we want to. Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to. Mm-hmm. And it's like sort of like the victim,
Yeah.
And then it feeds you something, but I don't think that's love. It's feeding you.
Right.
It may seem like it, but it's not for sure.
Yeah. I think that's kind of why at the beginning Fresh Fuel was something that I wanted to do, because I wanted to get reassurance that I was doing a good job. And you're working out, good for you, Megan. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. I got so many likes at the beginning.
Yeah, like just pats on the back.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I know.
You're driving down the road, everything is going just fine. You're listening to the new episode of Find the Good News in your car, and you're all stoked about trying out this zipper merge thing you've been hearing about, when all of a sudden you hear that sickening tap on your windshield that's just a little too loud. I've got some bad news for you. you've just got yourself a rock chip. Unfortunately, I've got some worse news. If you don't take care of that rock chip, it's going to turn into a crack. But I do have some good news too. You don't have to have a rock chip or a crack, because I've got a way for you to take care of it ASAP. If you go to asapglassco.com right now, you can stop that chip from winding across your windshield like the Calcasieu River. I used to be terrible about getting a rock chip, saying I'll take care of that later, and then later turns into this irritating crack that just spreads from one side of my windshield to the other. I should have taken care of it ASAP by scheduling a repair with ASAP Glass. ASAP Glass is local, right here in Sulphur, Louisiana, and they're mobile. Even better, you can get a quote right from your mobile phone at asapglassco.com. ASAP Glass is owned and operated by two of my best friends, lifelong friends, Dan and Kayla Smith. Dan the Glass Man will make sure his team of glass technicians gets to your job ASAP and make sure it's done right so you can keep that windshield crack out of sight. If you do get that rock chip and you don't take care of it ASAP, that's okay. ASAP Glass does complete windshield replacements. Remember, ASAP Glass is mobile, so you don't have to worry about finding time to drop your vehicle off at their shop. You get your quote at asapglassco.com. Make your appointment with Kayla, and then before long, an ASAP Glass van is on its way to your location. That's it. I know you're probably looking at a rock chip right now. Don't wait. Take care of it ASAP. Go to asapglassco.com on your mobile device and get a quote. That's asapglassco.com. And make sure to tell Dan and Kayla you heard about ASAP Glass on Find the Good News.
Now I'm like, I need to be patting all these other people on the back. Like, so many people always ask me who's my inspiration. Like, I got that question the other day from somebody who's doing an interview. Who's my inspiration? And my inspiration is anybody that's gone, that gets through anything that's just hard. I mean, I know that sounds so hokey, but
no,
it's anybody, like, and even hard being a weight loss journey.
Yeah.
Because that's hard. I don't know, getting through some anxiety of some sort, going to the grocery store for the first time when it's really hard, because that was me.
What do you mean? Can you stop right there and tell me what you mean by that? Going to the grocery store was hard. What do you mean?
I was like, okay, I used to be so worried that whenever I would get into the line at the grocery store and I would have to pay, my mom can attest to this, I would not go fast enough, and the people behind me would have to wait. So I always had my credit card out, ready.
You were like a ready buyer.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Ross, whenever we first got together, I would have him. I'd be like, "Is your card out?" He'd be like, "Yeah, I'll get it out whenever we get to the thing." I'm like, "Just have it out." I don't know. It was just this weird, anxious, like, I don't want to make anybody wait. What if I don't know where the stuff in the grocery store is? You know, just anxious.
I can relate to that.
Thoughts.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's exactly like that, but I've had that before. My wife and I have totally different shopping skills or abilities or habits. I don't know what you want to call it, but we always tell this story because we used to not grocery shop together because I'm an aggressive grocery shopper. I go in, I know what I want, and if I like a store and I know where it's at, I'm like, it's like military operation. I'm like, shelf to shelf, I grab the stuff, and when I'm going and then there's somebody like reading labels and stuff, I'm like, okay, move, I want to get my things so I can keep going. I got the operation, right? And then when I get to the checkout, I would put everything on the conveyor belt the way I was going to put it up at my house. Which is nuts because the store isn't organized that way, but I would do that. I would sit there and get it all the way I wanted. And then when I would get to the end and I would watch them bag and they would just throw things, and I would just like in my mind just be screaming like, I put that on there for this reason.
Put all the cold stuff together.
Yeah, all the cold stuff together, the box cold stuff together. Oh, what are you doing? And I thought I did all this work and it would always unravel at the end, but I was so quick. So one time we went shopping together, and I think she was getting a new shower curtain. And she said, well, I'm going to go get the shower curtain. And I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and start doing the grocery. I think shopping, we were at Walmart, I believe. And so we parted ways, and I left her at the shower curtain place. I go do all the shopping, and I'm like, well, let me go see if I can find her now. So I go back, and she's still at the shower curtain thing, and she was like, you're done? And I was like, yeah. She goes, I haven't even picked out like the thing. And so we knew at that point, like, our grocery shopping timetables were totally different.
Yeah, sometimes I come home with, especially if I'm shopping for clothes, I don't like to spend too much time there. Now, I don't have the anxiety anymore like I used to. I still get really proud of myself if I go, especially with a kid. If I go and come home and I make it and we're both alive and everything's good, I feel like super mom and I want to tell everybody about it. But, what was I saying?
We're talking about shopping at the grocery store and the anxiety, and then you were talking about surviving, going shopping for clothes.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, okay. So I would, I'll still do this. I'll go, if I have to get clothes, I'll try on a couple things, and then if I've been there for longer than I really want to be there, I'll just grab stuff. And then I get home and I'm like, I didn't even try this on because I just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw this and this will probably be the same size and it'll probably be cute, and I'll just take it and go home, and then it's the wrong size or something. But it's like, I want to go in there just like you. I want to go in there, get my stuff, and leave.
Yeah. I think I relate to that because I don't really love, it's weird. I guess it depends on what it is. Clothes shopping, I'm the same way. I rarely changed my styles. I wear jeans, boots, blues, whatever, same button ups. I don't change. But then stores like where it's decor, and like I love stores like TJ Maxx and Home Goods and Marshalls, where it's like I never know what's going to be there. So I can go dig and things can catch your eye, or they may have a piece that they only have one of. I kind of like that kind of shopping. I love antique store shopping and thrift store shopping because it's like an adventure, a discovery.
Yeah.
But yeah, things where I'm like, I don't know, clothing's that way for me. Grocery stores that way. I just want to get in. I don't want to browse around, take my time. I just want to get in, get the chore done, and kind of get out.
Yeah, if I could order everything online, which you pretty much can these days, I would. Everything.
Really? Even groceries too?
Oh, 100%.
Really? I've never. Don't they have services like that around here now?
Yeah, I'll order my groceries now and go pick them up.
That's what you do? Mm-hmm. Does that work well with Fresh Fuel? I mean,
yeah. So I give you a grocery list. So all you have to do is sit behind your phone, your computer, and just click whatever you want, whatever's on the grocery list. I give you an exact grocery list for every week.
So walk me through that then, since we're talking about shopping. We've circled around to that, so let's talk about it. So I sign up for Fresh Fuel. What is that like for me? I mean, I come in, I go, hey, I want to do, and it's my ignorance, forgive me.
Yeah.
I want to do Fresh Fuel.
Yeah, that's what you call it.
Okay, I'm doing Fresh Fuel.
Doing Fresh Fuel.
What is that like? What do I need to do? Walk me through like what's going to happen.
So I have different programs. If you want to just know what Fresh Fuel is, what kind of food it is at all. So what it is I give you healthy recipes. That's it. Okay. There's no counting. There's no weighing your food. It's just, all I want you to do is just eat healthy whole food. That's it. Okay. So that's all of my recipes. They're just healthy whole food. And so if you want a free meal plan to just try it, there's one that you can download on my website.
Really?
But other than that, you could either sign up for a week-long program or a 28-day program.
And that's a different recipe every week, or
so the week-long program is just like a static, just 1 week. So you only do it one time.
Okay.
So it's kind of like
hey, try this out.
Try this out. Yeah. And pay, a third of the price.
Gotcha.
But it's, you'll sign up and you'll get a bunch of information. You'll get an approved snack list, which is mainly just fruits and veggies. You can eat those all day, every day, raw, whatever you want. A lot of diets limit you to how much you can eat, and I feel like if God made it, then eat it.
Okay.
So, I say all the time. How many times have I said in this conversation?
I didn't count. I'll notice when
somebody count how many and post it on my social media, please. So you'll get a meal plan that lasts for 1 week. You'll get a breakfast recipe, and you'll get 3 lunch and dinner recipes.
Okay.
You'll get step-by-step on how to actually make it efficient, like the broccoli and the casserole goes in at the same temperature at the same time. So put them both in at this time and take them out.
Okay.
And you'll get a grocery list. You'll get an approved snack list. You'll get a couple videos, just healthy videos on why I think whole food is important.
And you make these? You producing these videos? Are they you?
Oh, I'm producing them with my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. I produced these with my computer in my living room with my dog in the background.
Yeah.
No lighting. I don't think I was wearing makeup. And I felt really fat. But yeah, they're there and it's great information. So that's what matters, right?
And they're connecting with you.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
You're there. It gives the feeling that you're with the person.
Yeah. I really need to
journey.
redo those while we're talking about it, though. I need to write that down. Redo those videos because they could be a lot better. I'm actually writing this down, by the way.
That's okay. That's what we're here for, right? Taking notes.
Yeah. So you can do a 28-day program, 4 weeks of recipes, grocery lists. I really just take out all the guesswork because people don't have time.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I hear is it's not that you don't want your family to be healthy. I've never heard anybody say that. You want your family to be healthy. You just don't have time. So I've done recipes, grocery lists for you. All you have to do is on Sunday, that's what I recommend. Cook for between 2 to 4 hours, all 4 meals. And then you don't have to cook the rest of the week.
So you're meal prepping then, right?
I'm meal prepping.
Okay.
I'm not good at
I've been wanting to try. No. I've seen pictures.
This is my first podcast.
I had a feeling that we were going to get there, and I wanted to ask you about that
It's
because
meal prep.
I saw that and I said, okay, you had like stacks of containers, and I was like, what's going on here?
Meal prep.
Yeah.
Because if you're not prepared, you're gonna make bad decisions.
That's absolutely true. It's like the difference between bringing your lunch to work and not bringing your lunch to work.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if you get something healthy at a restaurant, there's so much sugar and sodium and everything, even salad.
Yeah.
The dressings are filled with sugar and sodium. So
well, and the world, look, I was reading an article, not to segue too far into this, I don't want to derail this, but it goes into what you're talking about. We're really trying to cut down on waste in our home. And, I'll probably get raked over some kind of coals for this, but the more I read about recycling, the less it seems like a viable option for the future, because the energy it takes to recycle is producing a whole nother type of waste, right?
interesting.
And then all these plastics that we're putting into recycling bins aren't always going to recycling centers. They're just getting shipped off to other countries who we're paying to take our plastic.
Yeah.
And so I was like, so recycling makes you feel good and it makes me feel good. I've recycled, but you really sometimes haven't. So the real answer is to cut out buying these things. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to do this. And we've made some pretty big changes. But when you go to the store and try to shop friendly to the environment, that is almost an impossible task if you have a family. It's like, okay, well, I need this, I want this food. Well, if you're basing it on the want, you can have it, but if you base it on the packaging, you may not be able to, because almost everything comes in some sort of single-use plastic, veneer, cellophane, a bag. Even if it's a box inside there's a bag, it's like, man, unless you're buying fresh, like right off the produce, out of the produce section, you're kind of out of luck. If you're going to buy a dressing, it's going to come in a container that you got to do something with it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's thoughts like that have been really bugging me. I'm like, man, it might make me feel good, but I'm still kind of doing it. So I guess in getting around to that, it's kind of like going to buy healthy. Man, where am I going with this? My original point was the things that are out there for us to consume aren't really conducive to healthy living. Right? So, it's like there's way more stuff out there that's processed.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of variety in that category. But when you get into the fresh category or the healthy category, and granted, it's growing, but it's still pretty thin. And then on top of that, you've got packaging considerations. So you get even thinner. You know what I mean? So you can end up in a real tiny little avenue of things you can get if you're trying to consume environmentally friendly and then healthy.
Yeah.
You kind of get in a jam.
Man, I got to get on the environmentally friendly thing.
That's hard, though.
I don't think about it. I just don't. That's just not something I think about, but I need to.
It's hard, though, getting back to what we were talking about, shopping. I mean, it's a big part of your business is shopping, right? I mean, it's buying things. We've been trying to cut out plastic bags, and we bought these canvas bags. We're using them, and then we love it. I mean, but going to the store, you know, slowly that's changing. You're seeing stores do that, but it's not set up for that world. They're going to have to make some major changes, because you go to the store and you hand them your bags. Not all the stores are like super friendly about that. They're like, oh man, I gotta use these, you know, it's slower or whatever, holding the line up.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's this person, I got 6 big canvas totes I gotta use, you know, and it's not here at the little hooky thing at the end where I can just dump and go. And there's an anxiety about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel it. But it's little habits like that, you know.
Yeah, the part of what I wanted to do with the grocery list was I used to just have, if you needed to get spinach for something, I would just say spinach.
Yeah,
but then
spinach.
I realized, my sister helped me realize this. Shout out Erin Beth. She helped me realize that what if they already have spinach at their house? Like, so how much do they need for the recipe? So if they already have a box of spinach, then if they only need 2 cups, then they don't need to go back to the store and get a whole nother box of spinach. So so my grocery lists are, I tell you, like, if you need a teaspoon of garlic powder. So if you only have that little thing of garlic powder left, that's all you use. Yeah, so I'm trying to reduce waste that way.
Yeah.
Save a ton of money. How much money do you spend at the grocery store buying stuff and then you have to throw it away?
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you never used it, especially produce, because it goes bad.
Yeah.
So I try to reduce food waste that way.
Well, and then you're going home. The other thing about that I like is the meal prep part, which to me is the crucial part, because I can go buy produce and not have a package, and that gives me in my environmentally friendly zone, and I'm in the fresh-ish, right?
Yeah.
Mostly. I mean, that's fresh. I'm assuming that's what I'm calling fresh.
Yes.
So, sorry, I'm ignorant. So
No,
I think
you're
that's
not. No, you're not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. But, like, yeah, so that's fresh.
Right.
But if I don't cook it or make something with it, it's going to go bad.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meal prep solves that, because then you're prepped. It's all good. You can, what do you freeze it? You put it in the fridge. It's ready to go for whenever you're ready to go to work or whatever you're doing, dinner.
Fridge. Keep it in the fridge for, I keep it in my fridge for 7 days.
7 days? Is that your...
And then you can put it in the freezer. So, like, on day 5, if you know, oh, I forgot I had dinner tonight, so I'm not going to need, or, you know, we have a wedding and something, so I'm not going to need these 4 meals, put them in the freezer.
Yeah.
And then I give you a link to these microwavable meal prep containers, so you can just take them from the freezer and pop them in the microwave, and there you go.
Yeah.
It's because from personal experience, if I do not have something prepared, you know, my husband will drive on his way home and call me and say, what do you want for dinner? And I'm like, well, I have this turkey and, you know, I got to cook it, but I don't know what I want to cook. And then we come to the conclusion that, we'll just cook it tomorrow. And we never do. Yeah. So he goes and gets something. And so we're eating something that's not really healthy.
It's true.
And then I'm not meal prepping, and then I have to throw it away.
And we do the same thing.
People have saved hundreds of dollars a month just by meal prepping.
I believe it. I think Michelle and I could do that. We were talking about it. She was interested in what you did, and I was trying to explain it to her, and I think I did an okay job now that I'm talking to you. Yeah. And learning more about it, and I think that there's a high value in that, because you're right. You know, most people work. You've got a husband and a wife working, and just like Michelle and I, and so there's not a lot of time to sit around and like put a plan together. It's great that you're doing this, because there's people that are like that and go, man, I don't have to think about this. Yep. She's already done the work. She's done the research. It's working. It's something that's sustainable. I can do this. And then you're having like true gains from this.
Yeah. And it's also, I do want to note that it is not the grilled chicken, green beans, brown rice type healthy food that you're used to. I mean, it's spaghetti, just healthy. I give you good brands of food. It's just healthy ingredients. So spaghetti, taco bake, red beans and rice. You know, it's good food. You're not cooking grilled chicken.
So are most of your customers people in Southwest Louisiana, or are there people all over?
Most are, from Lake Charles, Westlake, Sulphur, Moss Bluff. I do have some people in California, Florida, New York.
Okay.
I have somebody in Europe.
Yeah.
But they were from Lake Charles.
Okay.
But it still counts.
Yeah, it counts. It does. I mean, it does. I have listeners that I have some in Sweden, and I'm like, they count. They do.
Yeah, they do.
The 14 of them, they count. But no, so I guess the reason I asked that is so when you're putting together the recipes and stuff, these are obtainable ingredients. They're not like because that happens when you ever buy a recipe book. Because I love to cook. I don't get to cook as much as I would like to, but I do enjoy it a lot. And I have beautiful recipe books. I just love recipe books. And I get in there and I go, oh, I want to do this cast iron dish. And then there's these weird ingredients and I have to go look them up. And I'm like, I'm not going to find that at Kroger.
Yep.
I mean, I've looked for some of these things. And so then I got to go, well, what is it? What's the replacement? Because I'll have to replace it with something. So I don't think I've ever really fully cooked some of these cookbooks. I'm like, I never cooked the actual recipe.
Yeah, I remember whenever I was just starting doing this and I was trying to come up with my first week of meals, I would look on Pinterest and I would see something that looked so good, and I would even type in like easy stir fry. You know, like put the word easy in front of it because it's going to give me something that's like 5 ingredients. Never was. There were always like 15 ingredients. I didn't know what the heck 3 of them were. There were 10 steps to cook it. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. So I would just move on. Immediately, if the list of ingredients was longer than 10 ingredients, I would not look at it. So I thought, what if I can make these meals with, 5 ingredients, 10 max, but they're all, I have like canned corn or frozen corn, whatever. But I wanted it to be an easy thing for you to do. I don't want you to have to. Everybody works really hard in their lives right now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make this easy for you.
Yeah.
But I'm the one that will tell you, you don't have to get everything perfect. People ask me what kind of cheese to get. I don't care. Do the best you can.
Yeah.
If it has ingredients that you can read, that's the first key. If it has less than 10 ingredients, if it has less than 5, it's the best. But just do the best you can, because like I always say, it's just always going to be okay. If you're eating something home cooked that has maybe a little bit more sugar because you bought the wrong marinara sauce, well, it's better than going to McDonald's.
Right.
So it's okay. Just do the best you can.
Yeah. No, I think you're right on. It actually is. Listening to you talk about it, it makes you just want to do it.
Doesn't it sound easy?
It does. I'm not kidding. It like makes me want to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do this. I want to do it. I really do. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to talk to Michelle tonight and we're going to do it. Because
it's simple.
It is simple. And I mean, it sounds, honestly, it plays into a lot of what I believe. Like I believe in interbeing, right? That everything, dependent origination. Everything is dependent on something else. I mean, nothing's an island. Nothing's not connected.
Right.
And so my habits, I can say, oh, my habits affect me. They hurt me. It's making me bad. It's making me tired. It's giving me headaches. Well, all of that affects my whole family. So if I have headaches, which I do have headaches, so I get headaches, well, then I'm like, I don't want to do that right now. My head hurts too bad. Or, oh, Dad, I want to go do this. I don't feel good today. Or whatever it is, I'm going, oh, it's me. But it's actually them. I am affecting them. So if I can make a change like that, yeah, it's going to affect everybody. And then it rubs off. It's a habit forming. If I can form a new habit out of something, and then that just ripples out to everybody in my whole life.
Yeah, and it's not even just about, losing weight, or it's about that one thing. I always say, just do one thing better than you did yesterday.
Yeah.
So if you parked really close to Walmart today to go in, just park further away tomorrow.
Further away, yeah.
Wait, didn't you post something about that today? Parking or walking?
Oh, that was the whole shopping cart thing. I think I posted about that. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. Sometimes, God, we're really going to get off in another tangent with that. No, it's okay. But it's like, that's just, I get, it's easy to tell people they ought to be doing things sometimes. And then I go, but we can't even solve this. It happened to me in a McDonald's one morning. I'd come back from a prayer event that I had held. And, I was like, and I kind of up on a high, and then I got to McDonald's, and these guys were fighting over who was in line over an Egg McMuffin, and I was like, man, we got a lot of problems in this world, and we can't even stop people from doing this.
I know.
So how are we going to solve this other big stuff if we can't even get, like, this part right?
I know.
I mean, we can't even get these buggies. And it gets
Put your buggy back in the thing.
That's such an easy thing, but it just, I went there and I was like, look at all these buggies. They're just like floating around this parking lot like ghosts are walking them around into people's cars and everything else. And I was like, it's just weird that we don't do things that are just so basic.
Yeah.
Small thing like litter. I know that a lot of people say litter is blamed by overflowing bins and containers, and I know that's a culprit, but I still see people just go out the window with a cup.
Gosh.
And I go, man, that's really like in your head to do. Like that just doesn't even
you don't even think to not do that.
Yeah. But see, there are other people though on that note that would think, you don't think to meal prep, dude?
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing?
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, right.
To tell people, give me 3 hours. Actually, I tell them, out of an entire month, give me 12 hours. That's it. Sounds like a lot.
To do this.
Because you prep 3 hours, sometimes 4. Week 1 is always harder because you're not used to prepping and, know your way around the kitchen. 3 hours a week to cook and then clean. And that's it.
And you're ready. You're set.
You're set for the whole week.
And is that breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yeah. So
or just breakfast and lunch?
I don't tell you what order to eat it in.
Oh, okay.
Because you do whatever your body's telling you to do.
I got you.
You know, like if you're not hungry for breakfast, don't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to write a meal plan out to say,
I got
for
you.
breakfast, have eggs. For this,
I see. Okay.
Your body is really smart.
Yeah.
Your body will tell you when it's full. Your body will tell you when you need to not eat a certain thing because you don't feel good after you eat it. Your body's really smart. So I'm supposed to tell you what to eat. Your body knows you better than I know you.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you when to eat it. I just got off on a see, that's something I told you about. I will, on certain subjects, I will get off on a tangent, but I don't tell you what to eat. I just tell you it's breakfast and then 3 lunch/dinner recipes, so you can eat them whenever you want.
Okay.
And then if you have a family, you can double any recipe or triple any recipe. You can do whatever you want. All I want is for you to have good, healthy food prepared in your fridge.
Yeah.
That's it. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily easy. I said it was easy, but it's not easy to change your mindset to it being simple, but it is simple. We're so taught all these different things. One day the news tells us eggs are really good for you, and then they say they cause cancer. And so all these people are so confused as to what's healthy.
Right.
If we just go back to the basics.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I'm not reinventing the wheel with Fresh Fuel 28. I'm telling you to eat what God created.
Well, I listened to a guy the other day on one of my favorite podcasts, and he was one of the guests, but he was like, he was a psychologist, and he was talking about eating, and he said, if somebody wants to lose weight, like, what's the big secret? He was like, look, I'm about to make it really simple for you. It's the easiest math that you could ever learn. If you want to lose weight, consume less calories than you burn. Mm-hmm. Right? And he was like, I'm just being honest. He said, if that's what your goal is, just to lose weight, if you're not wanting to make a critical life change, that's the math, man. He was like, we can complicate it further than that. And he said, and I know it gets, there's all kinds of territory you can go. And he said, but that's the basic math for most people. So the problem is a lot of us don't do that. He said, we eat more calories than we burn. And
we have, because of what we've eaten and because of how we've treated our bodies, we have problems to where that doesn't necessarily work.
Right,
That's
exactly.
part of the problem too.
You got all this sticky stuff that doesn't want to go. You're right, exactly.
That's why, one size doesn't fit all. One diet doesn't work for everyone.
But you're not talking about that. That's what I like. This isn't some new catchy diet. You've obviously, I see it in your pictures when you post those side by sides. I go, wow, she's really, I wouldn't have noticed. You know what I mean? But it's like, dang, that's a change. And you just made a critical change in your life. You're asking people to just make a critical change that's sort of sticky. It sticks around.
Yeah, and you're already cooking for your family, right? So
you hope.
I polled my Fresh Fuelers like last year. I don't remember when it was, but I asked them, do you eat out more or do you cook more? 90% of them said that they cook. 90% of them said, I cook way more for my family than we do eating out. And so I was just like, well, you're already cooking. Just change your recipes. That's what I've been saying lately, because I don't necessarily want people to think it's a program. Like, I'm just giving you healthy recipes. You know, we call it Fresh Fuel 28 because I give you 28 days of meals and goals. You also get a daily goal in there. But just change your recipes. Like, that's the simplest thing to do. You're already cooking. You're already in the kitchen. I give you everything you need. Just change your recipes so that you have healthy food for your family.
Yeah, and if you're not already cooking, get to cooking.
Get to cooking.
Right?
Get in the
because
kitchen.
that's another message. Not everybody is.
Yeah. And you have 3 hours a week. And if for some reason you can't prep everything at the beginning of the week, which I advise that you do, because you say that you're going to prep half on Sunday and then I'll prep the rest on Wednesday. Well, what happens Wednesday? You don't have time.
No, I get it. Something's going to sneak in and steal your time.
Yeah. It's, you prioritize your health.
Yeah.
And everybody says eating healthy is so expensive. That's a big complaint that I get.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But being sick is way more expensive.
Yeah, well, it's going to catch you. I mean, if you've got an older person in your life, and we probably all can think of somebody who didn't do any of this stuff, and they may have ate home-cooked meals, but they weren't good recipes. Might have tasted good, and it felt good temporarily, but when 65, 70 hits, you got all kinds of problems, and then the diet is forced upon you, right? I mean, then changes are... Well, you can choose to not do them, but your doctors are going to make you do some things.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't wait till something happens.
Right. Why not? I mean, you know, I'm 40. I'll be 45 this year. I mean, I'm a little late in the game, but it's not too late to change. You got to do something.
It's never too late.
No, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Exactly. It's
you
never
gotta
too late.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a simple change. And it's like a ripple effect of... Even after you meal prep, even if you haven't eaten any of the food yet, after those 3 hours are done and you can sit down on Sunday night, you're like, damn, I'm amazing. Like, that's just how you feel. So many people
it's a
have
sense
said,
of accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. So they're like, well, I want to eat healthy all week. I'm so proud of myself. And I feel really good today. So I think I might go for a walk. Or, it's just that one little feeling of, I did it.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, you're building a path, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, anything good you do, that's a great one. You can think of it that way. And I was just sitting here listening to you talk, and I was going, man, I know how much I love to cook, and I love the colors and the smells and the cutting of vegetables. I just love the sounds.
Oh my gosh, you are so my husband.
I do. I think it's kind of, it can become like a holy thing.
Yeah.
And, there was a time period where when I was cooking a lot, I used to have this little exercise. I think I've even talked about it on the show. I said I used to, because sometimes it would become a chore, and I never liked that feeling of like, oh, I gotta cook, you know, that feeling. I like the feeling of like, oh, I gotta cook. Yes, I get to cook. And it was that. And I was like, how can I keep that every time I cook? And it was imagining that I was preparing a meal for somebody holy. And I would do this like sort of imaginative like thought experiment. It was like, if I were cooking a meal for Thomas Merton, well, you know, somebody that I admire. If I was going to cook a meal for Gandhi, you know, how would I feel? What would I do? How would I cut this? Would I care more that I sliced things a certain way? Would I care more that I paid more attention to not overcook this and that? And as I did that a few times, I was like, oh, this works for me. It's like I'm role playing a little bit, but I was just cooking for whoever was coming over to my house, but it just changed the way I felt about it. It made it a little more of a holy thing. And so I was just daydreaming a little bit as I was listening. I was like, man, I was kind of going, man, I can do this. I could do this. I can meal prep. I've never done that before, but man, wouldn't that be fun to apply that thought experiment to that 3-4 hour time period? It becomes almost like a time of prayer and meditation, and man.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to get you to continue to do it. Like, you're not going to continue to do a workout if there's exercises in there you don't like.
Oh, no, I agree.
You know, you're going to work out if you actually like the exercises. You're going to continue to cook if you like to cook. So whatever works for you, if turning the TV on really loudly over all of the noises in the kitchen on your favorite show while you're cooking is going to help, that's one thing. If getting your husband in there to chop the grapes and put them in we chop the grapes for our son, not for us. Put them in the Ziploc bags, you know, that would be great. If you just want to turn the music off, drink some wine, you know, and listen to music.
Make it an experience. So you're getting a benefit beyond just the meals that you're going to consume that are going to change your diet and your health. You're actually also getting the benefit of enjoying a part of life that's been around for a long, long time. Something very ancient, something very basic, something that humans have turned into an art, you know, to be a part of cooking. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
It's not just like, oh, I have to meal prep today.
Yeah.
You get to meal prep. I know that sounds so crazy to some people that are like, ugh, meal prep.
Yeah. I think it might just sound like work because we make cooking like work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can make anything. I mean, I'll say that. I mean, there are people who, I mean, God, I can compare it to even what we do for a living. I mean, there's days where it's just, you know, I mean, it's like any job. You just got a day where it's like, man, I'm just burned out of doing this one thing over and over. But then someone else could come in and go, oh my gosh, you get to do this thing.
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
And you go, yeah, it's not as exciting. But there are days where it is, you know, but I guess that's how it could look. People say that. They're like, oh man, I cook. I don't want to cook. It's work. You're right. It's just changing your.
Find what's fun for you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm one of my biggest pet peeves, and it's probably why I clean my plate. I'm a plate cleaner. If I take food, I eat what I took. I just do not. Nothing bothers me more than seeing food in the trash.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm not kidding. It's a huge, like, I cannot stand it. I'm like, oh, and it goes back to something very old from my childhood, but something just got put in my head. I was like, when I learned that there were people in this world who didn't get to eat, that just changed it for me. And I probably have overeaten before because of it. I know I have, because I'm like, I'm full, but I took this, I put it on my plate, and it has to be empty.
Yeah.
I just can't stand it. I hate sometimes going to like a restaurant and just looking like maybe a container where they're dumping, you know, the bus plates, and I'm going, oh my gosh, look at all the food that's just left on this table. Kind of kills me.
It does. We bring home everything from restaurants. Like, there is a half of a roll, and Ross and I will take it home.
Yeah.
Because he cannot stand it. He cannot stand throwing food in the trash can.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, you can tell him I can back him up on that. I mean, I honestly, and I just maybe taking it really far and maybe further than most people be comfortable going, but I see it as like just an insult to our own it's almost like spitting in the face of people who can't have food. It's like going, oh, I have extra, but I'm throwing it in the garbage. It just blows my mind. It's a testament to our wasteful attitudes.
Yeah. You
know, and I'm not saying I don't live waste. I do. I mean, and I'm working on it, but that's a hard thing to not be a wasteful person. It's in our face. I mean, we're kind of geared around waste. Everything's kind of tailored for it.
Yeah.
To sort of induce it.
I know. I think not many people think about stuff like that. You know, not many people go that deep into stuff. And I feel like it would benefit a lot of people if they're hearing this podcast and hearing you talk about it, they'll think about it. But I feel like waste is just something that we don't even think twice about. I mean, I don't, except food. But like the plastic stuff you were talking about earlier, I don't even think of that.
Well, we were talking about that plastic's an easy scapegoat. I mean, because we've switched. God, it sounds so pretentious. I don't mean it to, but it just does. I mean, I hear myself and I go, there are people going, oh my God, the straws again. But it's like when we switched away from plastic straws to metal straws at our house. At first, I can remember, it was like a year ago, and I can remember at first the kids were like, I don't like the way they feel in my mouth. I don't like the way that hits my teeth, and I don't know, it bothers me. And then slowly, I guess as everyone aged and we kept it around, it was like, this is it. We're not buying plastic straws anymore. We're done with it. Well, now we're bringing them to restaurants with us, and it's like a new habit. And so there's a restaurant my wife and I like to eat at, and we've done that a few times. And the lady brought our drinks out the other day, and she didn't leave straws. And she was like, no straws. And she goes, I'm learning too. And I was like, I saw my wife and said, I know that seems silly to some people. I said, but look, a change was made, and she remembered.
Yeah.
That little bitty thing, like, that's kind of, she goes, I started thinking about it, it's kind of cool to do that. And I was like, well, we're not doing it to be cool, but it's like, if we can make little tiny change. Yeah,
if you do something out of the ordinary, sometimes you make a difference.
Yeah.
Like posting fat pictures of yourself.
I've really enjoyed talking about all this. What's your big vision? Like, do you have one, like a vision for where you want Fresh Fuel to go, or like or are you just going day by day and going, hey, wherever this leads, it leads, or do you have like a master plan?
Don't have a master plan. It started with food, sharing recipes and things like that, but I think as I've met more of my clients, or even just followers that aren't paying customers, I've learned that there's so much more, like I was saying earlier, to health than just what you eat. So I just think Fresh Fuel's bigger. I think it's bigger than just meal plans.
Yeah.
I don't have a clear picture of where it's going, because I'm not really a planner in that sense. I kind of just try to have a lot of faith every day.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have a big, I want to help people is such like a cliche thing,
no, it's okay, I get it.
I want to help people through my story, and then just see where it goes.
That's
but I think it's bigger than food and recipes.
It's gonna, if it's anything like my life, and I was just having this conversation with a fan of the show today, that this show is like that. It arose at this time. Why didn't I do it 10 years ago? I could have, I guess. But I was doing something else. Mm-hmm. And I think at different times in our life, talents and skills and awarenesses change. And if you're willing to allow them to, you can be a helper in different capacities. You can do 100 different ways in your life. Maybe for a time period that you do a certain thing, it evolves into something else. But I like what you said about, I just want to help. I think that's kind of what I want to do too. It's like, hey, I want to help, but I need to be able to do it. I don't need to do what somebody else is doing.
Right.
Because that's not what I know how to do. But if I can take what I know how to do and be helpful, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And that may change in 10 years, 5 years, because I'll change. Hopefully I'll change. I hope I change.
We're always changing.
Sure.
So, your perspective's going to change all the time. Your body's going to change. Your direction and everything is going to change. And you just have to go with it, even though that's hard. But you have to I just have learned to have so much faith through all of this, because when you start a business, you have no clue if it's going to be well received or what. I just have to have faith that God knows the desires of my heart, and I just have pure intentions of sharing my story to help people, and that's all I can do.
Yeah. Well, I think I was thinking about that the other day, that God helps us as us, and I liked that thought, because it really is a good illustration of, we hear the vine and the body and all the parts, and I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that, because it means it's an organism. Instead of thinking of each other as separate, we think of each other as one, and that we should help each other. I always loved, I don't even know where I read it. It might be in the Bible, honestly. I don't think it is, though. It was the knee's pain isn't the hand's, but the hand rushes to defend it. And I was like, I like that. I like that concept that, my toe is where I'm being hurt, and that pain isn't the fingers, but the hand will rush down to protect it or to console it. And I thought, that's a good illustration of what I would love to believe humanity's capable of.
Yeah.
Rushing to the needs of each other in whatever capacity. You're given these inclinations and the life you were given to do this thing, and then now you can help. What a great thing.
Yeah, isn't that what life is about? Being kind, helping other people.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's kind of if you have no idea where to start, if you're just sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? What is my purpose? You know, just be kind and help people. That's like the first place to start. What can you do to help people today? What can you do to be kind to someone today?
Yeah.
That's where you start.
I just, on my last podcast, this exact subject came up, and it's one of my favorite lines from Shantadeva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And it's this one little line. It says, "May I be a helper for those without one." And that's a beautiful statement because it doesn't get into saying what that help is. It just says, "May I be a helper." And so, yes, please, may I be a helper. And whatever that is today, show me and I'll do it. You know, if it's within my capacity as a person, whatever's happened to me in my life and made me who I am, let me be a helper.
Yep. Love it.
Me too.
And I'm happy, I know it.
This episode's Fishing for Goodies Fishbowl sponsor is Brimstone Museum and Henning Cultural Center in Sulphur, Louisiana. I don't know what you look for when you travel, but one of the things I look for when I'm putting together my itinerary is a unique museum or gallery in the city I'm traveling to. I do this almost every time I go to a new city, but if I'm being honest, I'm guilty of not always doing that very thing right here at home in Sulphur, Louisiana. That's really a shame because we have one of the most interesting, historically relevant, and culturally rich corners in any city in the country about 2 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. I'm talking about the Brimstone Museum and Henning Cultural Center. Have you ever really thought about why our city is named Sulphur? They've got a permanent exhibit on the history of the sulfur industry that answers that simple question and more. You really get a full scope of just how important the sulfur mining industry was to the development of Southwest Louisiana and the impact it had on the rest of the world. Yes, the rest of the world. On the same property, right next door to the museum, is the Henning Cultural Center, presenting some of the most interesting, modern, and culturally relevant local art shows I've ever seen. My dear friend Tom Trahan and the Brimstone Historical Society have really worked hard to give us this treasure, and it's a multifaceted jewel that I plan to take advantage of more often. You don't have to wonder what their hours are, or how to get there, or what shows are coming up. Just go to brimstonemuseum.org like I did, and subscribe to their mailing list right there on the homepage. That's brimstonemuseum.org. Tom will make sure you start getting the announcements for each and every new show at the gallery. But you don't have to wait for the mail to arrive to enjoy this historical local treasure. You don't have to be guilty, like me, of overlooking a local wonder that conveniently sits next to the Grove, one of the most beautiful walking parks in Southwest Louisiana. Drop in and say hi to Tom for me. Tour the museum and center, and make sure to tell Tom that you heard about Brimstone Museum on Find the Good News. Now, let's take that dive in the fishbowl. So you know what time it is?
What time?
It's fishbowl time.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know about this, right?
Yeah. How many? One question?
3.
Okay, what if I don't understand the question?
Oh, you
Can
will.
I put it back? Okay.
No pootsy backsies, unless it's something really crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know what.
Wait,
There's like
and this too?
There's there's little slips of paper. There's cards.
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Do I get any time to think about it?
What does it say?
How could you add more value to your relationships?
Ooh,
Add
that's
more.
a good question.
Add more value.
Do you like that word?
Value.
Yeah. Do you feel like it implies that you should get something?
Value.
Because see, there's
Yeah.
there's another word out in the lexicon that I don't like. It's the word leverage.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot in
Yeah.
business speak. It's sort of like a buzzword, but I hear value and leverage, and I see dollar signs. And I think sometimes it could mean that.
You know what's weird? When I read this, how could you add more value to your relationships? I wanted to say by being a better listener. But then I thought, but wait, that's just me giving. So that's exactly what you're just saying. Like,
Yeah, what about what you get back?
yeah, but that's not what I thought. I mean, my first
Yeah.
thought was being a better listener. Or being honest.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Right.
There's so much advice giving in relationships and friendships and telling people what to do. And I know in marriages, it's hard for the wife sometimes to not do this to the husband. But I feel like if you just explain situations that you've been through, not necessarily telling someone to do something, then maybe they can get a clue through what you're saying. That's what I was talking about earlier with, that probably didn't make sense just now, but that's what I was talking about earlier with sharing your story. I feel like listening and being open and honest with your story can add value to your whole life in all of your relationships, friendships, everything.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I have
Do
found...
you really?
No,
Do you have any idea what I just said?
No, I do.
Because I don't think I know what I'm talking about.
I think you do. I think you're right on. I mean, I would say that falls in line with the mission of Find the Good News, because it's about that. I mean, I don't want... You could have come in here today and said, I'm Meghan Abraham, and, you know, I do fresh fuel, and here's what fresh fuel is. It's a blah, 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 to meal prep, and you're going to love it.
Yeah, but I came in here and I didn't even know what to say about fresh fuel.
And you shared honest stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was the whole mission of Find the Good News, was like, hey, you know, anybody can do that. You can go on a local TV station and do a 15-minute, you know, stinger. And you can run a 30-second commercial, and you can run some YouTube ads or web ads or any of that stuff. You can do all of that, and people are going to get that. I don't want that for this. I want people to come on here and tell their stories and be honest, because there's a heartbeat. I want people to like go, hey, I know the heart like behind that thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so that does add value, I think. Because even our relationship, right? Next time I see you, now I know you better. We've had this talk, and then it's not just going to get like, oh, hey, like the other day when I saw you at Starbucks, we had like a little tiny hi.
Hey, hi, how are you?
Because we didn't really know each other. We hadn't shared any stories.
Exactly.
Right? But now we shared stories and we were honest.
Yeah.
And the value's much higher.
Right.
And I value what you do more. I really do. I mean, just in this hour and 30 minutes, I value you more.
Well, I'm so glad. I value you more, because this, you know, you've talked about on past podcasts about social anxiety. You have a podcast now, though. So you have overcome, like, social anxiety isn't just like stepping out into the world. It's also talking behind a microphone for the whole world to hear, too. So I hope you realize how much you have overcome by just starting this podcast.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
This is in the spirit of honesty.
Yeah.
And I may have kind of mentioned this before on a show. On one hand, yes. Mm. On the other hand, it's still an armor, because it's protected. I'm in here. And so that's part of what I told you about those road trip episodes. That's part of why I'm doing those, because I'm going, okay, this is against, I'm using myself in the petri dish.
Yeah.
I've got to pluck myself out of this office and go put myself out into somebody else's space and go experience their world and their space, to where they're not, I need to experience the nervousness of going into their environment.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I can deal with that. It's still going to be the same format, but and then I'm going to be in these videos with them, and so it's putting myself out there further. I need to do that. I have to get the gelatin off of the podcast, you know what I mean, and go, okay, I'm still got that sort of squishy safe zone with this, sort of.
Yeah, but you're allowing these people that you don't even know to come into your office. I mean, that's step one of defeating social anxiety, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it has, no.
Give yourself some credit, Oran.
No, you're right. Because look, social anxiety has been something I've struggled with for a long time. I've had a really great counselor many years ago. And when I started, I didn't even know what social anxiety was. I was in my 20s. So I don't even know if that word was out there, to be honest. It might have been. But I was describing the reactions I had to public spaces. And there were a lot of things I wouldn't do. I wouldn't go to events. And I would say it like, I don't like events.
Right.
Or I don't like bars. I don't like concerts. It was weird. It was like, and he was like, you don't like those things? And he would dig, you know, how they do. And I was like, oh, well, no, I like this. And then he's like, okay. He says, so you don't, so you do like that. So what is it you don't like? And then as he says, you don't like, you like people.
Right.
And you like encountering people. You just, when it gets into an environment you're not comfortable, familiar with, you know, this kicks in. And I was like, yeah, he's right. And boy, it was like, ugh, it sort of kind of mind flipped me for a little while. So he would give me exercises. It was like, and I learned from that, even though I've had to do it many times. And this is one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like he was like, you have to actively put yourself in these positions. You know, it's going to wear off. He said, but and it did to a degree, but it's still work.
You're on lots of people's radios, so you're not just in here in this office, by the way. Everybody's listening to you. So, Step 1, social anxiety.
That was a good question, that card that you drew.
Yeah, I think I always want people to listen.
Look at you. I see what you're doing.
Sorry, okay. Are there written?
There's some little slips of papers in there, too. Those are the ones that the fans have submitted.
Oh, gosh, I'm scared.
Oh, no, they're good. I guess they're good. I don't know what they all say.
Okay, I'm going to do this one.
Oh, these are what would you rather?
Wait. No, I don't want a question. Wait, answer. Sorry. Okay. Describe your ideal partner and relationship.
Aw.
Wow.
You get to talk about Ross.
The ideal partner is somebody who sees in you the stuff that you don't see. Like I talked about earlier, I would have never gotten healthier, or it would have taken me way longer if he didn't see the potential that I had to get healthy, or if he wouldn't have pushed me. I mean, the ideal partner is somebody who doesn't talk negatively about you, whether you're there or not.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
it's
I've
huge.
complained about him to people before.
Really?
Like my mom and sister, you know.
Yeah.
They're my girls.
Family.
Yeah. But he doesn't ever complain about me.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't. No, he has complaints about me. That sounded bad. He doesn't speak them to other people because it's nobody else's business. Is, you know,
I see what
part
you
of
mean.
it. Sorry, Ross. I get really close to the microphone whenever I...
Telling the secret.
Yeah. Sorry, Ross. Describe your ideal partner. It's just somebody who wants the best for you, who backs you up in everything that you do, even if it sounds crazy. I mean, your ideal partner is Ross, but you can't have him. So he's amazing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't even know if I could answer, but I can relate to what you said there about Michelle. She, I'm sure she probably has said things about me to her family. I don't think, but she and I are very private in that regard. I mean, we usually work through any kind of difficulty together.
Yeah.
We do have a good speaking relationship. I mean, I'm pretty honest with her, and I don't ever. No, I maybe. I don't know. Think I've ever told anybody anything about Michelle. That if it was something that was bothersome to me at this point, I can only think of maybe either I worked through it or we talked about it.
Yeah.
There's a trust there. Like,
Right.
I think our relationship's sacred. I would never, before I would ever throw her under the bus to anybody else, I would talk to her first.
Good for you. I think it's a
Yeah.
girl thing, though. Sometimes we just have to gripe, you know?
I
That's what we
gripe.
do. But, yeah, I mean, communication is huge. God, if you can't communicate openly with your partner about whatever is on your mind.
It's strange. I don't know that I've changed. I don't know if I have. I mean, I probably changed, but I was married before. I'm divorced.
Oh.
And my first wife and I did not have that. We just didn't have that kind of chemistry. We fought a lot. I mean, it was like we couldn't communicate. It just seemed like everything ended up in a dispute. And it's even still, we don't talk at all. We've been apart for a long time, but even when we do, it just seems like it ultimately devolves into some kind of miscommunication. I'm like, this is fascinating that I just observing outsider looking in. I go, this is the strangest thing. I can't communicate with this person.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
I think there's a lot of miscommunication, but it's because we're not communicating with each other, you know? But yeah, and then like the last thing I'll say about, honestly, I could go on about this forever because I have such a good marriage. I am so blessed with Ross. But something that we do now that he really does that I didn't like at the beginning was at the end of like an argument or a disagreement, he says, okay, so what did we learn from this? Like, so what's happening now because we just had that? And I'm like, nothing, I'm still mad. But, you know,
he wants a takeaway.
Yeah,
like,
he's like, well, aren't we? He wants to show that we're getting better.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to show that we're moving up. Like, we just went through this and now we know how to handle it next time.
Right.
Kind of
He doesn't want to be valueless.
Right.
Right. Like to just fought for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, I mean, really, guys, isn't that what kind of like most wars are like? It's like, there's no, what they say, there's no winner in a war.
Yeah.
You know, and some marriages are in a war with each other. And I'm like, that's so miserable.
I know.
I've been there. And I'm like, God, and that's how I feel about Michelle too. Like, what a blessing and what a balm on my life. Mm-hmm. Because it could have been war in like it was in my previous life, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting, because now it makes me think of what being married to her was an opportunity. Even divorce was an opportunity to reboot.
Right.
I remember thinking when I got a divorce, how many stories I'd seen where divorce was so nasty. Like, it was just worse. The kids were worse off. Both the people were worse off. And then they both had new people and then they were worse off. I was like, this is just a bomb that just sort of keeps going off. And I remember when I got into my first little rent house, you know, when I first separated, I was like, okay, I didn't have a party. It wasn't like, woo. It was more like that first night going, okay, this is an opportunity for me to do something here. I got to go back in time a little bit and figure out what was my trajectory that I had envisioned for myself, and where was I going, and can I bring some of those things back to the present?
Yeah.
And reboot a little bit here, you know, make a new existence, a more positive existence.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I've accomplished all that, but I mean, to some degree, it changed it was a reboot.
Yeah.
Start over.
Good. I'm glad that you recognize that.
Yeah, because it could have been terrible.
Yeah. Could have been. I'm glad it wasn't.
Third question. Right? It's question 3, huh?
3. Okay. These are so deep. We could have a whole 2 hours on just one of these cards. Are you happy with your current work-life balance?
Wow, these are all tailor-made to you.
Oh, if not, what would balance look like for you? Okay, so I don't feel like you're ever really gonna achieve work-life balance because there's always gonna be something that's more important than the other thing. And it's day by day is different. So, but right now I have a 19-month-old. So I started a business whenever I was pregnant, which I don't advise to anyone. But I started a business when I was pregnant, and then I was a stay-at-home mom while owning a business out of my house for about 17 months before I got any help, and I was miserable.
Really?
Not miserable in being a mom, just I felt like I always had to be doing something, and I never just sat down and enjoyed the moment. So now I've asked for help because I've now learned that it's okay to ask for help. So I've asked for help, and I'm able to enjoy the days where I have a babysitter to work so that I can get my work done, do my schoolwork, whatever. And then I'm able to not take my computer out at all whenever I'm home on those 2 days that he doesn't have a babysitter. I get to be with him all day. So I feel like I'm to this space where my business is slowed, like all the front end of the business that you have to get up and running and you have to work long hours, that's slowed down because now it's kind of, you have
a
on
pattern,
its own a little
you got
bit.
a system, yeah.
So I feel like that's over and I can enjoy my life a little bit better. But I don't think that there's ever a work-life balance. Like, for me, my husband and my kid are going to come before work, no matter what. So that's never going to be balanced. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard The One Thing. Have you ever read that book?
Mm-mm.
It's just like, what's that one thing that you need to do that day? So I don't, a lot of people, like these boss babes that we were talking about, talk about work-life balance. And I used to talk on it too, but I've kind of realized that it's never supposed to be balanced.
Yeah.
Like, if it's balanced, then you're comfortable and you're not really going anywhere. I feel like...
And life doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
I tend to think of balance like what you just described. Like, it's not like all equal parts and everything gets its day in the sun. I tend to think of it more like an ebb and a flow. Like, there are days where the balance means doing a lot of something else and a little bit of another.
Right.
But then another day, that other thing takes precedent. And then some days they get equal parts. It's almost like just this sort of pulling and flexing back and forth. I mean, I was even thinking about that about religion the other day. I was kind of meditating about it, and I was like, religion can be very rigid. Mm-hmm. And I find it much better when it has roots, but it can still sway in the wind like a reed without breaking. It's like, yes, there is something solid here, but it also bends, without losing its substance. And so I think life is kind of like that. Balance is more like that for me. I tend to think of it that way. Not just, I've got to get all these parts equaled out and every, kind of time, okay, I've done my time with the kids and now it's time for this. And it isn't reality.
Yeah, and the word balance, the first thing I think of when I see the word balance is comfortable. Like, because balance is comfortable, right?
Yeah.
When you're not in balance, you are not comfortable because things aren't.
Yes, this is on cue because if you've listened to enough of these, you're going to hear me talk about the sirens. We're right by the fire department, and isn't it finally good news without an ambulance or a fire truck?
Yeah, but balance and being comfortable. I don't want to be comfortable because then I get stuck and I'm not moving forward. I like a little bit of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or getting in a place where I've got to figure stuff out, or challenging myself whenever things are really hard. I feel like work-life balance is what you just get in that place and then you're fine. And I don't know, to me that just seems comfortable. Right. And I don't like to be in a comfortable space.
If you're not comfortable with being discomfortable, when tragedies and things like that happen, and they will.
Yeah.
I mean, even that, calling it a tragedy, but something's going to happen that's going to shake things up, sooner or later to all of us. And then what do? Then you've got, but this is breaking my comfort. This is breaking my balance. But if you're okay with that, with bending and stuff, then you've made space for those things to enter and be as they're going to be. And then when it's time for them to leave, they leave. Instead of just being in this tug of war with them, you know, and going, you're stealing my balance.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of that, honestly. If I'm being truthful, I fear that, being too balanced.
Yeah.
Quotey fingers balanced. Yeah. I fear that because I think it can be false. I think it can be like this sort of fake thing. I see a lot of that out there.
Can you really be balanced between everything in your life?
Well, I think even social media plays into that.
Yeah.
Like, I see it, especially Instagram. Like, I'm kind of new to Instagram. Well, I'm really getting off. Now we're getting back to social media. But I saw that when I first got into Instagram. And I kind of joke about this on the podcast a few times. The hashtag best life, I see a lot of that kind of stuff out there. And I go, I don't know if I buy this. I eat right and I eat this, and then I also do this and I do this, and this is how I organize this, and this is this, and I go, yeah, this is all this from these angles.
Right.
But like, show me the diamond, man. I want to see all the facets. And when you see all the facets, you're like, that begins to fall apart. There's no way. Mm-hmm. There's no way that there isn't some dimension in that diamond.
Yeah.
Or one of those facets where something's not right.
I know. I think that's why everybody's so scared to be honest. It's like honesty is the exception to the rule now.
Yeah.
Because everybody sees these perfect lives. And I talk about that a lot, about people being honest on social media. I don't necessarily want people to show pictures of their big stomach like me. Honesty looks different on everybody. I just want those people that are sitting behind the computer that feel like they're alone to remember that there's way more to each of those posts. So if there's this perfect picture of me and my husband, cooking together, and I make this big long post about how much I love my husband, which I do, there's also way more things that happen behind the scenes that you have no idea. So I don't necessarily ask for people to show their mess on the internet, because not everybody wants to do that, and that's totally fine. I just want everybody to remember that there is so much more than these perfect social media posts.
Yeah. There's a lot. It must be a movement, and I don't know what it's called, but I see a lot more people doing that. I mean, I see you doing that, and I've had a few guests on here who are in that kind. I'd say like Diana Ballette, she's in that, and like Rosie. And I'm getting this sentiment that, man, it's almost like enough is enough. That's what I get, this feeling of like almost like a rebellion. And that's maybe not the right word.
I've always been a rebel. You can use
but
that.
But it feels like it's like, hey, enough. I mean, enough of this, man. I mean, look, we can't put makeup and perfect hair on everything. We can't put a perfect beach body on everything. We can't be perfect moms. We can't. And I feel like there's an expectation of that.
Yeah.
And I think I'm seeing, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I like it. Yep. Whatever it is and whatever I'm calling. I'm kind of rambling, but I don't know, because I want to put a box around it and identify it, but I can't do it because it's just like, hey, yeah, this is me. I'm out here and this is my real life, you know, and this is what it looks like. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that you just had a baby and you don't want to go anywhere because you don't know how to take a baby to the store. Like, that feeling is not weird. It's okay if you don't want to sit on the floor and play with your kid today. Like, that's okay. That doesn't make you weird just because you see all these pictures of all these other moms sitting and playing with their kids.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't feel like that today. I just always say, don't ever get stuck there.
Yeah.
Don't ever get stuck in that. You know, if you're sad, it's okay. Just don't get stuck there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think that it kind of makes me think of the movie Fight Club, the whole spiel, you know, if you've ever seen that movie.
Dare I say I haven't?
Really?
I've seen like bits and pieces.
Well, there's some sentiments in that movie that's kind of like what we're talking about. And it's like, you know, or the book really, rather, where we've all been weaned on all of this idea that, or we've suckled on the idea that, you know, we're all going to be famous. We're all going to have money. We're all going to have nice stuff. We're all going to get what we want. We're all going to get to go to college and have a nice house. That ain't always the story,
right?
You know, but that's what everybody's kind of being told. Like, hey, you can have it too. You can have it too. You can have it all. You should.
Right.
You should. And that isn't everybody's tale. That isn't everything. That isn't all there is.
Yeah, there's a big like boss babe movement. You know, of leave your job and start a business. Well, of course, if that's what you want to do it. But you're also okay being a secretary at your job right now. If that's where you feel like you should be at this moment, that's okay. You don't have to, you know, do what everybody else is doing. It's wherever you are right now in your life, that's okay. Just the question of what's my purpose, people need to stop thinking about that sometimes. What's my purpose?
Yeah, maybe it's just right here, just doing what you're doing.
To love. Have you ever read Bob Goff's book?
No.
Oh my gosh, everybody.
Is it called To Love?
It's called Everybody Always.
Everybody Always.
So good.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I do believe in that, though. I mean, I believe that sometimes, I've thought that many times here. We get a lot of people, I told you before the podcast, that just come up to the door. You know, I don't know, it seems like every time we do one, somebody comes to the door. And they're not here for us. They don't know what they're looking for. They're here looking for somebody else. But a few times, those people have been people who honestly just need to talk. And so I have learned that if there's nothing else I can do, I can just be some ears.
Absolutely.
Just some ears. And allowing that to happen, people have felt valued. We talked about that word. I mean, they feel like somebody that they exist. So many people walk around and feel like they're not seen, is what I've gathered.
Yep.
Or that they're alone. And that, honestly, just to put it out there this way, that God doesn't love them.
Yeah.
That they don't have a value. They don't have a purpose. They don't matter. They're just existing. And if you can just listen to them and show them that somebody is listening, I think, and a heart cares, just that alone is the beginning.
Yeah, no advice or anything. Just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that happen with one man who's stopped by here a few times, and we've just randomly. I mean, he might come by 3 times a year, but when he comes in, a lot of times what he's got to share is not good news. It's painful, but he wants to share it. He wants somebody to hear it. So it's not just rattling around in his head.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. And I'm like, I may not see him again next time, and that's it. But I feel like there's value in that.
Absolutely.
It's good for me, too, because I learn a lot through listening. It makes me grateful, to have been loved by people and to have had people to care for me, and to have had helpers in my life, because some people don't have helpers. There's just no help arriving.
Yeah. A lot of people feel alone.
Sure.
But they're not. Nobody's alone ever in anything. I know so many moms now that I've had a baby and I'm on social media all the time, and they say, thank you so much, I needed to hear this today, whenever I said something about being a mom. And it's like, did you really think that you were alone? Because you're never alone.
Yeah.
So
never alone.
Yeah.
Man, this has been a good conversation.
This has been, what did I even say for the last 2 hours?
I know. Did you think it was going to go?
Wait, was it 2 hours?
It's 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Does it feel longer?
No.
Shorter.
I'm like ready to keep talking about more stuff.
You can draw another question out of the fishbowl. I want to know what that was that you drew. There's a question. You don't have to read it. I'll read it.
What's been the hardest loss you've had to take?
Oh.
The hardest loss I've had to take.
So this is the 4th mystery fishbowl question. Do you want to answer that?
I mean, I would have to think about that. Hardest loss.
See, because I find this interesting because
Gosh.
I was having this conversation with somebody else, and they were a fan of the show, and I were visiting in here one day, a new friend actually, and that's come through the show, and we were sharing that, and he had listened to the show, and he said, I was fascinated by one of your guests. It was Carrie, and he said, you asked her, why do you do this? And he said, and most people have a story of like, well, XYZ thing happened to me when I was this age, or maybe there's a story of tragedy and loss. And they go, but I was like, this changed things, and I was always motivated to fight for the underdog. I'm making that. That's just some version of that. Most people have that. And he said, but she just said, hey, no, I didn't have anything like that. I don't know. I've had a good life.
Yeah.
And he said it was such an odd answer, and it was an interesting answer. It was a good answer. And he said it's just not common. So it's interesting, and it's not a bad thing when somebody gets a question like that and they go, I have to think about that.
Yeah.
Because you don't have like some major thing that's just haunting you.
No. Oh my gosh. I've been so blessed in my life, but this probably doesn't really answer this, but what's been the hardest loss you've had to take? I haven't had any big loss thing happen to me, but the saddest thing for me is when people don't realize that they can change. So like, what's been the hardest loss that I've had to take is when people tell me it's too late. Now that doesn't really answer the question, but like, I hear that so much, and it makes me so sad that I keep reading this over because I'm trying to answer it in the what's been the hardest loss you've had to take. I don't know. But when people tell me that it's too late, or well, nothing's going to change for me in anything, in health and mental health, whatever. No,
God, you're actually touching a nerve with me, because I have somebody in my life like that, and it's exact sentiment. It really does hurt to know that there are resources and people that can help somebody in the dire straits, whatever it may be, physical, mental, you name it, and they just feel like it's either too late for them, or just a refusal to do anything new, to go, no, I'm an old dog, I'm not learning new tricks. And that's hard, because I have this taped on my computer screen in there. I've had it everywhere I've ever worked, and it says change is the law, because I believe that there's no permanence. It's everything changes, everything. I mean, I was telling my son the other day, I said, if I laid down, we were talking about things becoming other things. I said, if I go lay down next to that tree in our yard and just fell down right there and died, and y'all didn't bury me, in 100 years, whatever was me, whatever was my body, is going to be that tree. I said, that's change is the law. That's what's going to happen. And I'm okay with that. That's actually beautiful to me.
Yeah.
That there's processes in place to make things become other things. That's a wonderful thing to know that I literally come from the earth.
You sound like Jason Mraz.
Freaking fantastic. I mean, that is incredible.
Yeah.
That I can jump up and down
I know.
in the air, free from the ground, talk, think, breathe, and I just came up out of the ground, like all the parts, just made out of this other stuff. And that there's processes in place for that. And for when I'm gone, for there's anything to become something else. It just blows my mind. I think that's just an incredible wonder of creation. And, you know, to know that that is coded, that change is coded into everything. And it's such a level like that. And then we can, as people, just go, nope, I'm not changing. You are changing. You cannot stop this.
I know.
You may not think you are, but you're going to change.
Yeah.
And it may not always feel good when it does, because if you resist it, it's just too, you create, I think you go against the flow of creation. I really do.
And when it comes to health, you know, any type of health, people think that there's so much to the change. That's what sounds scary. Because, so people say it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. Well, even the word lifestyle, that's worse than a diet to me. A diet sounds short-term. Lifestyle, I got to change my whole life? That sounds intimidating.
Yep.
So people see that they have to change their whole life to get healthy, when really, just do one thing.
This reminds me of a story.
One step.
My dad, who's passed away, had found out he had diabetes, and I remember this, and I tell my wife this story. I said, I'll never forget this. And it does make me sad, but I mean, it's in the past, but it just goes, this is one of those moments where this happened, exactly what we're talking about. He found out he had diabetes. I was 20 years old, 19 or 20, I can't remember. So that's a long time ago, 25 years ago. But he was driving with me to Colorado. It was like 2 or 3 days after he had found out, and they had give him a sheet of what his diet needed to be like. Like, he was going to have to make a lifestyle change. I mean, like 100%. The way he ate and the things he ate, it had to stop. That's what they told him. You can't live like this no more.
Oh, how intimidating.
It's over.
Yeah.
And so I remember feeling sorry for him, because I was like, I know my dad. I know what he eats. I know how he lives. And this is not going to be easy for him. And he's hard-headed. But he was like, the first couple of days, like, well, I got to change. I got to do these things. And so I remember I picked that little sheet up, and I can remember reading it. It was just, it's funny that we're talking about it, because it was a diet plan. It was like, here's things that you can eat. These are good, healthy things. It's safe. And so I remember reading it, and I was like, I'm going to remember this because I'm going to help him. I had this idea in my head. I'm going to help my dad. And so what I was going to do, I told him while we were driving to Colorado, I said, Dad, I know it's going to be hard, but I'll do it with you. I mean, I know it's not me that needs to be on the diet, but there's nothing on here that I can't do too that's going to hurt me. So I'll do it with you. That way you're not alone. You don't feel like, oh, I'm the odd man in the house, the one person who can't eat this and can't eat that. Well, I'll do it too. And he's like, okay, thanks, son. We had like a little heart-to-heart. And I was like, really kind of, it elevated me. So we got to I don't remember where we were. I think we were in Trinidad, Colorado. We stopped at some restaurant to eat. And so he pulled out his little sheet. And he looked at it, and he looked at the menu. And he took that thing, and he crunched it up. And he said, I'm not eating like this. And he ordered what he wanted. And I didn't cry. He didn't see me cry, but I cried on the inside, because I knew in that moment that his hard-headedness would ultimately get him. And it did. That's ultimately really a big part of what got him. You know, his health just declined year after year, you know, and you go, he refused to change.
Yeah.
Just refused to add that new thing into his life. And so the rest of his life was spent with doctors, you know, doctors and ailments.
Yeah, I like that you said adding into his life, the new thing that he added, because I don't want you to have to take anything away. Just add good things into your life. Add good people into your life. Add good positive podcasts into your life. Good Christian music into your life. Good healthy food into your life. Don't think of it as taking things away and changing your life. Just add a little bit of something every day that can get you a little bit better, make you feel a little bit more happy, make you feel a little bit more motivated. And don't think of it as like a lifestyle change or a change in my life. Just do a little bit.
You're right. You will absorb and change if you add things to your life.
Oh, yeah.
I write a lot, and I find when I go back and read what I wrote, I go, this is no doubt that the things I've written are born from the things I read. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. I mean, I've fed myself Walt Whitman and Thoreau and Thich Nhat Hanh and Khalil Gibran and all these, just go on, and I go, look at the way, and Thomas Merton, and you look at the way they write, and then I look at what's coming out of my own writing, and I go, there's all those seeds are in there. This isn't anything new. This is just born from that. And I'm like, you know what? The other day when I was kind of thinking about that, I thought, oh man, so is there an original thought in here? And then I went, I don't care, because what these people produced were good things. And so if that's changed what's in my brain, so be it. I'm okay with it. I'd rather have that there than something else. Mm-hmm.
Man, you're such a deep thinker.
I don't know about
it's crazy.
That.
It's good. Surface conversation happens too often.
I don't think we had one today.
No. I could keep going.
This was good, though.
Yeah, it was good.
You feel like you got out there properly?
Yeah. I think for my first podcast.
The first one? This is the first one?
Yeah.
We should do more. I wish there were more in Lake Charles and Sulphur and Southwest Louisiana. I hope there will be.
I would love to do more. It's
You could do one. You could.
Yeah.
You could do that in just once a week, a little 20, 30-minute podcast.
I know. I've thought about it.
You should. I'm serious. I had another guest who thought about doing one, and I was like, you need to do it. I mean, I think podcasts are going to rise together. They do in other communities. And there's a lot. Like in Los Angeles, everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good format. It's accessible, like you said. I mean, people who are on your meal plans are going to be your first listeners anyway. Mm-hmm. And then it'll just grow from there. I think it actually would. I do. I think you have a lot of good things to say.
Thanks. So do you.
You just take what you're already doing and just apply it to that. I think you should.
All right. You're going to go meal prep and I'm going to go start a podcast.
All right. It's a deal. So how do people, on that note, we're going to get out of this thing for you because I know you've got to cross the dreaded bridge. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Hopefully that'll get better in a couple of years.
I'll listen.
I've listened to a lot stuck in traffic. I agree. That's one of the benefits. But how do people get in touch with you, follow you, and then where do they go to get your meal plans or sign up for Fresh Fuel?
So, Fresh Fuel.
Fresh Fuel. Fresh Fuel is what I said. That's not a good name.
I am a fool sometimes.
Fresh Fuel.
You go to, so on Instagram and Facebook, I am The Fresh Fuel, like THE, The Fresh Fuel, and my website is thefreshfuel.com.
Okay.
You just go on there and it's real easy. You just click on programs and there's a free meal plan on the homepage. You can go download the free meal plan
if you want
to try it. Yeah. There's a testimonies page, with people that have gone through it. And
that's good.
Yeah. So that's it. It's easy. I want to make it easy because it is. It's not easy. Simple. I want to make it simple. We've made our lives so difficult and made things, so hard, but it doesn't have to be. Things can just be simple. Just get back to the basics.
Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I'm going to do it, and I think hopefully somebody on here will do it too. I know for a fact, well, maybe not a fact, but I got a big hunch. There's a few listeners out there that are pretty active, and they're kind of like me, I think. Every guest who's come on this show, I've made a goal to take away one thing. And so I'm going, what'll that be like to have, like, every guest, I write a rule, like some kind of big takeaway to apply to my life, and that's been an interesting exercise, and so I'm going to do this.
Good.
I'm going to sign up and do it. I told my wife before you even got here, I said, I think I'm going to do this but I'm going to tell her whenever she's here. But yeah, I think we're going to try it.
Yeah, just cook. Just cook the food and eat healthy. That's it.
We're going to do it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for being the first podcast I'm on. I hope we found some good news and shared it. And
well, isn't it great that, I mean, for me, I'm blown away. Isn't it great that there's so much good to be shared? I mean, your episode will be like episode 41 or 42.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, I really I thought we were going to have to cut back to doing one every 2 weeks. That was my original thought. I thought maybe once a month. I was like, man, this might be hard to find people, but it is not at all. I mean, I find somebody new every day, or I get a recommendation.
So awesome.
And I love you just as well.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Find the Good News. If you would like to advertise on this show or sponsor an episode, just visit findthegood.news. Send me a message and we'll see about getting your business, organization, service, product, or event on the show. I deeply thank each of you again for supporting this podcast.